Chapter 1906. You are indeed a genius. I will definitely get rid of Zichin this time. Yin Zhongjuan clapped his hands excitedly. His eyes were shining with a cruel light. It's necessary to prepare for a rainy day. Hearing Yin Zhongjuan's praise, Xinghun's face was as calm as still water. He didn't care at all. Instead, he secretly despised Yin Zhongjuan's stupidity in his heart. There was a simpler and faster way to get rid of the opponent. Why did he have to blindly challenge Dustless? It was completely unnecessary. Young Master Ming's room was simple and clean. There was no complicated dressing table. That was completely unnecessary. There was no need to deliberately dress up. It was enough to keep it natural. The roots of the school of Yinyang were also Taoists. They focused on cultivating one's body and mind. The female disciples of the school of Yinyang didn't know anything about makeup. Creak. The door was gently pushed open. Young Master Ming wrinkled her nose. This person was very mysterious. Even she didn't sense any movement. It's you. Seeing Dustless's face, young Master Ming was enlightened. Then, the corners of her mouth curled up, and she squeezed out a cheerful smile. Why can't it be me? Dustless asked. Sensing young Master Ming's smile and her pleasant voice, he couldn't help but feel a little smug. Dustless was sure that the person young Master Ming had talked to the most in her life was him. At the same time, he couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. How would young Master Ming feel if she knew his true identity? Come clean. What's to come can't be avoided. Looking at young Master Ming's clear eyes, Dustless threw the hesitation on his face away. Young Master Ming, actually my true identity is that the school of Yinyang has always... Bang. Not waiting for Wu Chen's voice to fall, the closed sliding door was kicked open by someone. This sudden loud noise made Dustless and young Master Ming frown. No matter what, this was young Master Ming's room. Even Xinghun wouldn't dare to be so arrogant as to kick the door open. Haha. A hearty laugh sounded. Then, a middle-aged man with a sage-like demeanor appeared in front of them. His every move was accompanied by a breeze. Purple qi came from the east, making him look like a legendary immortal. Yin Zhongjuan? Seeing this man, Dustless and Xiaoxi Ming glanced at each other, and both of them could see the surprise in each other's eyes. Humph. Dustless was fine, but Xiaoxi Ming couldn't stand it anymore. She harumphed angrily as a cold light gathered in her eyes. After all, she was one of the 5 great elders of the school of Yinyang. She was on the same level as Yin Zhongjuan. However, this guy had broken into her house without saying a word. Moreover, he was so arrogant. If young Master Ming didn't do anything about it, she would lose face. He would definitely become a laughingstock in the future. Give me an explanation, Yin Zhongjuan. Xiaoxi Ming slightly clenched her fists and questioned coldly. Explain. Yin Zhongjuan stroked his beard like an old man and sneered. Explain? What explanation do you need? Young Arbiter Ming, you and Zichin are already in such a state, and you still dare to ask me for an explanation? Why don't you kneel down and beg me to let you go? What do you mean? Are you planning to rebel? Dustless was very interested. He couldn't help but be surprised by Yin Zhongjuan's arrogance. This guy had suddenly become much bolder. Before, when he saw him, he was always timid. Without a reasonable explanation. Even if Dong Huangtai is here, he can't save you. Explain my ass. Yin Zhongjuan looked at Dustless's stinky face and cursed, which was rare for him. He was really an eyesore. Ever since this guy joined the school of Yinyang, he had been possessed by bad luck. He often encountered all kinds of bad luck and couldn't even sleep well. Don't play tricks with me. Don't think that I don't know that you two are now poisoned by the corpse god curse. After being bitten by that kind of insect, you can't use your internal force for an hour. You can't fool me. Yin Zhongjuan said confidently and unceremoniously exposed Dustless and Xiaoxi Ming. He gnashed his teeth and said, especially you, Zichin. You dare to humiliate me again and again. This time, I will definitely torture you. Do you still remember Yuziki last time? I've decided to make you into a medicine man too. The so-called medicine man, to put it bluntly, was a puppet. It had no consciousness and followed orders like a zombie. Corpse god curse? Dustless looked at Xiaoxi Ming suspiciously, but the latter just shook her head, not understanding what Yin Zhongjuan was talking about. You saw it too, right? The two of us are not poisoned by the so-called corpse god curse. You've been deceived, Yin Zhongjuan. Dustless looked at this self-righteous fool with pity. He was most likely fooled by Xinghan. Impossible. Don't try to fool me. Yin Zhongjuan fixed his eyes on Xiaoxi Ming and Dustless and retorted with a red face. Watch me tear your disguises apart. Swoosh. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, the sword at Yin Zhongjuan's waist suddenly flew out of its scabbard. His whole aura changed. His eyes were like torches, scorching like knives. Then the sword violently slashed at Xiaoxi Ming and Dustless. Full of loopholes. Xiaoxi Ming gently pointed her slender finger, and a large number of emerald green leaves on the bonsai drifted over. Million leaves flying flower stream. With a flick of her finger, a large number of leaves shot out like darts. There were so many of them that it was difficult to defend against them. Even the eyes were a little overwhelmed. Bastard! Didn't you lose your inner strength? Xinghan, that damned liar! How dare you deceive me, you despicable brat! Yin Zhongjuan's expression changed drastically. He cursed Xinghan 1,000 times and quickly dodged to the side. Although he reacted in time, Yin Zhongjuan was still covered in cuts and bruises. Blood flowed freely. The seemingly weak leaves were sharper than a steel knife and easily shredded his skin. His entire body was covered in blood. Yin Zhongjuan thought that Xiaoxi Ming and Dustless had lost their inner strength and were pretending to be calm, so he did not put up much defense. That was why Xiaoxi Ming was able to succeed. You're really pitiful. Don't you know that you've been used by Xinghan? If I'm not wrong, Xinghan, that brat, is probably using you to buy time. How sad. Chapter 1907. Damn Xinghan. Why did he lie to me? What good does it do him? Yin Zhongjuan was furious. Blue veins were bulging on his forehead. The stinging pain all over his body made him grimace in pain. His eyes were red and filled with a crazed light that was comparable to that of a wild beast. You've really lived half your life in vain. Dustless stared at Yin Zhongjuan and couldn't help but sigh. Xinghan is only in his teens. What about you? You're in your 40s or 50s. How could you be fooled by a little kid? Have you lived your whole life in vain? Upon hearing Dustless's words, Yin Zhongjuan's vision turned black. He spat out a mouthful of blood and spilled it all over the ground. Zichen, stop talking. After all, he's from the same sect. What if he dies from anger? Young Master Ming tugged at the corner of Dustless's clothes worriedly. Of course, she wasn't worried about Yin Zhongjuan's death. She was just afraid that if this old man died from anger, Dustless would also be punished. Do I need you to worry about me? Dustless pinched young Master Ming's delicate nose and said with a smile. Haven't you seen it yet? This is no longer a personal grudge. It's a serious coup d'état. It wouldn't be too much to kill Yin Zhongjuan. I won't allow you to scratch me. Young Master Ming snorted softly and turned her head away with a look that said, I don't want to talk to you. However, she was secretly glancing at Dustless's face from the corner of her eyes. She seemed to be very concerned about Dustless's reaction. A woman's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the sea. Dustless glanced at young Master Ming helplessly and slowly walked towards Yin Zhongjuan. Old man, how does it feel to be a prisoner? Isn't it ecstasy? TSK. How dare you go against me? You're really bold. Do you have an accomplice? Dustless knew Yin Zhongjuan's character. This old man would never dare to act alone. Moreover, he had mentioned Xinghan just now. What does that have to do with you? Yin Zhongjuan retorted coldly. Even though he hated Xinghan to death, he also did not have a good impression of Dustless. The two of them were jackals of the same tribe, each more cunning and sinister than the other. You're not telling me? Upon hearing this, Dustless's lips curled into a devilish smile as he snatched Yin Zhongjuan's sword. Yin Zhongjuan, have you ever heard of car splitting? Dustless looked at Yin Zhongjuan with a mischievous smile. Tell me your plan, or else... you know what I mean. Gulp. Seeing this, Yin Zhongjuan's heart skipped a beat. He had a feeling that a great disaster was about to befall him. Looking at Dustless's evil face, he sighed inwardly and felt a chill in his heart. the so-called chariot-splitting punishment, to put it simply, was to dismember the body by 5 horses. The person's limbs and head would be connected to the 5 horses with a rope. Then the horses would be whipped violently and the human body would be torn apart with the greatest force. Hee hee. Do you want to enjoy it? Dustless's eyes lit up. He circled Yun Zhongjuan and comforted him. It's okay. It doesn't hurt at all. Don't worry. You might die in an instant and not feel any pain. T. Yun Zhongjuan panicked. What a joke. It would be terrible if he was dismembered by 5 horses. What if he didn't die? He would definitely die from the pain. Moreover, Yun Zhongjuan did not intend to die yet. You don't believe me? Dustless's face turned cold. The sword in his hand stabbed out decisively. "Ah, my hand!" Yun Zhongjuan immediately screamed. He was in so much pain that he broke out in a cold sweat. His right hand was bleeding profusely. His entire palm had been pierced, and a sharp sword was stuck in it. The culprit was Dustless. You can't do this to me. If you torture me like this, His Excellency Donghuang will not easily. Puffed. Dustless glanced at Yun Zhongjuan coldly. Then he pierced Yun Zhongjuan's other hand with his sword. Yun Zhongjuan immediately shut his mouth. Don't be too complacent. If I didn't think that you were useful, I would have killed you long ago. The reason why Dustless let Yun Zhongjuan continue to live was that Yun Zhongjuan was the only person in the world who could refine the elixir of immortality. Although the elixir of immortality was useless to him, it was quite effective on others. For example, Duan Murong, Young Master Si Ming, and Great Master Si Ming were all peerless divine elixirs. I'll tell you everything. Yun Zhongjuan stared at Dustless's gloomy face and felt a chill in his heart. He didn't want to be tortured to death. After a little hesitation, he decisively confessed everything. It was Xing Han who sent me to deal with the 2 of you. He said that you've been poisoned by the corpse god Kursku and are powerless. Xing Han, Xiangjuan, and Madame Xiang are responsible for dealing with Yueshan and Great Master Si Ming. Yun Zhongjuan's face was full of fear. He told the truth and continued, after we're done, we'll kill all of you. Even His Excellency Donghuang won't blame us. Anyway, you're all dead. His Excellency Donghuang won't punish us for a few dead people. Xing Han, that brat, is very shrewd. Dustless sneered and said disdainfully, Xing Han, that brat, never does anything he's not confident in. His plan can't be that simple. That brat must have other motives for sending you here to stall for time. That damned bastard. Xing Han should go to hell and be torn apart by 5 horses. It would have been fine if Xing Han had not been mentioned, but the moment that sinister and black-bellied brat was mentioned, Yun Zhongjuan immediately cursed. I won't let him off even if I become a ghost. Why is he stalling for time? Dustless was puzzled. He sent Yun Zhongjuan to stall for time because he was afraid that he and young Master Si Ming would meddle in other people's business. Great Master Si Ming and you, or didn't seem to have anything that Xing Han wanted. Could it be, that damn brat, could it be that he was after her from the beginning? Chapter 1908. No matter if it was Yueshan or Great Si Ming, they were not easy to deal with. As a member of the school of Yinyang, Xing Han should know this better than Dustless. In that case, there was only one person in the school of Yinyang who had a high status and a weak strength. Xing Han's target must be Yuer, right? Dustless narrowed his eyes. After thinking for a while, Yuer was the only suitable target. Although her strength was weak, her status was not inferior to Yueshan. At the same time, he could use Yuer to threaten Yueshan, Dustless, and the others. Xing Han's plan is pretty good. Dustless admired Xing Han's intelligence. He used Yun Zhongjuan as bait to create an illusion that he was going to attack Xing Han and Yueshan. That kid's success was not due to luck. Why aren't you worried at all? Xiao Ximing was puzzled when she saw Dustless's calm face. In the school of Yinyang, Yuer and Dustless seemed to be the closest, even more so than Yueshan. Worried? Dustless glanced at Xiao Ximing and explained softly, Xiao Ximing, don't you think that Xing Han is too arrogant? He actually dared to capture Yuer. That kid doesn't even know how to spell the word death. I'm just worried that he will capture Ji Ruqianlong to threaten us. Xiao Ximing pouted unhappily when she saw Dustless's casual explanation. Calm down, Xiao Ximing. Dustless said a word that made Xiao Ximing roll her eyes. He analyzed carefully. Since it's a threat, it means that Xing Han won't hurt you or. In that case, there's no need to be anxious. Haha. Yun Zhongjuan's hoarse, zombie-like laughter rang out. He rebuked angrily. Damn Xing Han. How dare he trick me? Xiangjuan and Madame Xiang too. The three of them are together. Bastard. Yin Zhongjuan's face was bitter. He really couldn't understand how he was inferior to Xiangjuan and Madame Xiang. How could he be abandoned by Xing Han without any hesitation? You idiot. Upon hearing that Yun Zhongjuan was still complaining, Dustless shook his head and sighed. Yun Zhongjuan, I finally understand why Xing Han abandoned you now. You haven't gone crazy from alchemy, have you? Bastard, are you looking down on me as well? Pa. Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, Yin Zhongjuan was slapped hard in the face. A red handprint was clearly visible on his rough cheek. You bastard! Yin Zhongjuan flew into a rage and looked at Dustless ferociously. His eyes seemed to want to swallow him whole. This was the first time in his life that he had been slapped in the face. You're just a prisoner now. It's up to me to kill you. Figure out who you are. Dustless glanced coldly at Yin Zhongjuan, then sneered and said, Haven't you figured it out yet? The so-called Lady Xiang and Lady Xiang are just lies that Xing Han made up to fool you. Upon hearing this, Yin Zhongjuan's eyes widened. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. He froze on the spot and didn't move. Xing Han has already been stripped of his status as a guardian. To put it bluntly, he's just a salted fish now. What right does he have to cooperate with Lady Xiang and Lady Xiang? Don't you think you're too childish? Yin Zhongjuan, haven't you realized that you've been kept in the dark from the beginning? Yin Zhongjuan, who couldn't hold back his anger, spat out another mouthful of blood. He hammered the ground as if he had gone crazy. He couldn't understand why Xing Han had tricked him. The two of them were allies. What good would it do Xing Han if he fell? A pitiful person must have something hateful. Dustless glanced at Yin Zhongjuan in disdain. Then he brushed past him. If it wasn't for the fact that Yin Zhongjuan still had value in alchemy, he would have killed this idiot. Weren't the so-called allies used to trick others? Bang! Young Master Ming knocked Yin Zhongjuan out with a heavy punch. Then she walked toward Yuer's room with Dustless. Hee, I didn't manage to meet the moon goddess, but I managed to meet you, an important guest. What a surprise! Yuer's room was very warm and cozy. However, the sudden eerie voice destroyed the peaceful atmosphere and filled the air with dreary coldness. Indeed, the heavens are on my side. I'm destined to be the winner this time. Xing Han laughed maniacally. When he saw Concubine Yan's embarrassed expression, a trace of joy flashed across his face. He had planned to use the corpse god curse goo on the moon goddess and the others. However, the moon goddess and Great Sea Ming were no ordinary people. Fortunately, they had avoided a great calamity. However, what surprised Xing Han was that Concubine Yan, who was eager to protect her daughter, had fallen for it. Xing Han, are you trying to betray the Yinyang school? Do you know what you're doing now? Concubine Yan shouted angrily. You were hid behind her with a terrified expression. That's right. I did intend to betray the Yinyang school. I hate that bastard Dong Huangtai. I've served the Yinyang school for so many years, but he abandoned me without even looking at me. Xing Han's face twisted. He roared like a wild beast. If it wasn't for Dong Huangtai protecting Zichen, I wouldn't have ended up like this. It's all his fault. Since then, Xing Han had been plotting how to take revenge on the Yinyang school. As for working with Yin Zhongjuan, it was completely the latter's wishful thinking. After witnessing Dong Huangtai's ruthlessness, Xing Han no longer harbored any illusions about the Yinyang school. He swore to take revenge on the Yinyang school. Capturing you, was the greatest revenge against the Yinyang school. After all, was the key to unlocking the 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon. Without her, Dong Huangtai would definitely be furious. Chapter 1909. Of course, Xing Hun's plan was only a small part of the overall plan. He had greater ambitions. From the moment Dong Huangtai abandoned Xing Hun, he had completely changed. The strong were respected. Absolute power could crush everything. Dong Huangtai was a joke. Hee hee. Xing Hun let out a shrill laugh. His hollow eyes pierced through time and space. He could already see Dustless and Dong Huangtai kneeling and begging for mercy in the future. Ha ha ha. Arrogant laughter spread. Xing Hun laughed coldly in his heart. Even though I don't know what secret Jiru Qianlong has, she is inextricably linked to unlocking the secret of the 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon. Legend has it that if you obtain the 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon, you can obtain the entire world. Hence, I must get my hands on this little girl. Taking Yu away and monopolizing the 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon was Xing Hun's final plan. Yu seeing Xing Hun's crazy eyes, concubine Yin was secretly on guard. She stroked Yu's hair and comforted her softly. I will help you stall for time. Take this time to find Dustless or the Moon Goddess. I don't want to leave Mother. Yu shook her head stubbornly. She hugged concubine Yan's right leg tightly and refused to let go. TSK, how touching. Even I can't bear to see you like this. Xing Hun stood with his hands behind his back and sighed leisurely. You are so close that I know who is Dustless. Don't tell me it's that brat. A smiling face that had been mocking him suddenly appeared in his mind. Xing Hun's face immediately darkened. Also, what do you mean by that? You want Jiru Qianlong to find Dustless and the Moon Goddess? Concubine Yan, Dong Huangtai has locked you up for too long. Is your brain damaged? This is the mirage. How can Dustless be here? Staring at concubine Yan, Xing Hun mocked her without restraint. But when he saw concubine Yan's disdainful expression, he was furious. You have already been bitten by the corpse god curse Gu. How dare you be so arrogant? If it wasn't for your value, I would have killed you long ago. Xing Hun had intended to use concubine Yan to threaten you, and make her help him unravel the secret of the 7 mansions of the Azure Dragon. Without concubine Yan, even if he captured you, this little girl might not be obedient. No wonder you can't beat him. Concubine Yan's pretty face was filled with sympathy. She looked at Xing Hun meaningfully. Don't you think that you can't beat him every time? Dustless always manages to take the initiative and turn the tables. So what? I was just lucky. Xing Hun snorted, not minding at all. He did not feel that he was inferior to Dustless in any way. That kid is just slightly luckier and has a few more coincidences. Concubine Yin was speechless when she heard Xing Hun's answer. This black-bellied and arrogant brat was indeed as arrogant and condescending as the rumors said. Do you really think that some things are coincidences? Concubine Yin was helpless. Yu refused to run away, and could only try her best to stall for time, hoping that someone would come to her aid. If Dustless is Zichen, wouldn't all these coincidences be explained? Wulsh *T. Hearing this, Xing Hun was enraged. He was so angry that he laughed and reprimanded loudly. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? Who would believe such childish words? Why would the Yinyang school choose an enemy to be the left guardian? But the truth is the truth. Concubine Yin was not surprised by Xing Hun's intense reaction. When she had first heard that Zichen was Dustless, she had also been shocked. Her emotional reaction was even greater than Xing Hun's. Mother is not lying. Zichen is brother Dustless. You are suddenly interrupted. Her eyes were bright and her determined tone made Xing Hun's face twitch. An enemy outsider had infiltrated the Yinyang school, and even become the left guardian, stealing his position. Xing Hun's heart was about to jump out of his chest. How ironic was this? Not only that, even Yueshan and Great Si Ming are Dustless's men. Concubine Yin continued to reveal shocking news. No wonder. Hearing this, Xing Hun surprisingly agreed. He muttered, no wonder Yueshan was so obedient when she returned from the Mo family's mechanical city. She has defected to Dustless and Great Si Ming. Just as I had guessed, she has also become Dustless's lackey. This is outrageous. Now that fellow is going to marry young Si Ming. This is unforgivable. The huge Yinyang school has been taken over by an outsider and become his territory. Xing Hun panted heavily. He clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles cracked. He looked like he had suffered a huge blow. No matter what, I have to get rid of you first. Don't think that I don't know that you are stalling for time. Xing Han looked at concubine Yin coldly and exposed her plan without hesitation. He laughed coldly. Leave with me now. The two of you are my important chess pieces. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Xing Han turned into a cold black wind and pounced towards concubine Yin and Yu. Concubine Yin and Yu, who had lost their inner energy, could not fight back. Boom, boom, boom. A violent impact exploded behind Xing Han. Xing Han, who was pouncing towards Yu, was also affected by the shockwave. His internal organs were instantly injured. Uffed. Purplish red blood spurted out of his mouth. Xing Han turned his head in fear and shouted anxiously. What kind of powerful move is this? It is so powerful that it can injure me so easily with its aura. How is this possible? What kind of person in this world has reached such a shocking level of inner energy? Xing Han, you bastard. Concubine Yin has already explained everything to you. But you still attacked her and her son. Are you tired of living? Dustless, who was standing with his hands behind his back, and the elegant young Siming walked over slowly. Chapter 1910. Staring at the face so close to him, Xing Han's face suddenly shrank. He would never forget that hateful face. It was like an imprint that would be buried in his heart forever. Zichen, you bastard. Xing Han glared at Dustless. He was so angry that his nose was crooked when he heard Dustless call him a bastard. After all, he was once a guardian of the school of Yinyang. How dare Dustless call him a bastard? I will never let you off. Even though he had been severely injured by Dustless's previous attack, Xing Han stood up stubbornly. Although his body was trembling, he still looked straight into Dustless's deep eyes. Ah, Zichen, not bad, Xing Han. Even though your spiritual pressure is so weak that it is not worth mentioning, you are still able to stand up. That's worthy of praise. Dustless gave him a thumbs up and praised him. Are you humiliating me? Xing Han was not grateful. Instead, his face was filled with hatred. If Dustless wanted to praise him, he should have praised him properly. Why did he have to say that his spiritual pressure was so weak that it was not worth mentioning? Dustless was obviously looking down on him. What a joke. Who do you think you are? Do I need to humiliate a stray dog like you? What I said is the truth. It is indeed just a trace of spiritual pressure that is not worth mentioning. If you don't believe me, hee. Boom, boom, boom. Boundless spiritual pressure exploded. The moment it broke out of his body, the ground that Dustless was standing on crumbled under the powerful impact. The exquisite floorboards danced in the air like dust. Is this guy even human? Concubine Yin and Xiao Ximing were shocked. Even though the terrifying aura was not directed at them, they still felt a fatal pressure. It was as if their lives would be taken away at any time. Bam. Xing Han was the main target of the spiritual pressure. He did not even have the chance to react, let alone resist. He was instantly suppressed. His limbs were on the ground, and his face was pressed against the ground. Crack, crack, crack. The bones in his body were creaking, as if they would shatter at any moment. This bastard. Where exactly did he get such strength? Even Dong Huangtai might not be his match. Xing Han was in despair. Feeling the pressure that enveloped his heart, he was disheartened. Dustless was definitely not a human. A mere loser wants to defeat me? It's fine if you have a childish face, but how can you be so pedantic and ignorant? What a retarded child. Dustless sighed and muttered softly. Dong Huangtai actually found a retard to be the left guardian. It seems that the school of Yinyang is on the verge of extinction. Only in my hands can it flourish again. You're the brainless child. Xing Han was enraged. Since he had nothing left to lose, he said fearlessly, Damned fellow, so you've been hiding your identity and deceiving us. Despicable bastard. Hide his identity. Xiao Ximing glanced at Dustless suspiciously, not understanding what Xing Han was talking about. Kiki, this is really interesting. It seems like young Master Ming still doesn't know your true identity. Ha ha ha. Do you need me to help you, Zichen? Xing Hanning laughed, his face full of gloating. I'm sorry. I was stalling for time just now, so I... Concubine Yin lowered her head in shame, her eyes filled with regret. In order to stall for time, she had revealed Dustless's true identity. It's all right. Even if you didn't say it, I was planning to tell young Master Ming the truth this time. Dustless smiled at Concubine Yin calmly, indicating that she did not need to take it to heart. He did not care about Xing Hun's threat. He did not intend to hide it from young Master Ming anyway. What should be exposed would be exposed sooner or later. Dustless felt guilty for hiding it from young Master Ming for so long. Young Master Ming. Xing Hun stared deeply at young Master Ming, whose face was covered by a veil, and explained hysterically, "The man in front of you, who is your fiancé Zichen, is the nemesis of the school of Yinyang, Dustless. Both Moon Goddess and Great Master Ming have become his lackeys. If you really care about the school of Yinyang, then kill this bastard for me." What? Hearing this, young Master Ming's body trembled, and a strange electric current flashed through her body. She looked at Dustless's indifferent face in disbelief. "Hee, hurry up and fight for me." Seeing this, Xing Hun did not say anything. He looked at the scene with interest, enjoying the scene of the fratricide that was about to take place. "Aren't you going to explain?" After a moment of silence, young Master Ming looked at Dustless with her beautiful eyes. There was a hint of sadness in her watery eyes. "I don't need to explain. What he said is the truth. I'm sorry, I did lie to you in the past." Dustless could not help but blame himself. At the same time, he twisted his face and revealed his true face. A face that was more handsome than Zichen, calm and mature, but young Master Ming hated the most, appeared. The latter's face was filled with despair. Young Master Ming smiled sadly and asked bitterly, "So you've been lying to me in disguise all this time?" If you want to take revenge on me, I have nothing to say." Dustless was silent. Young Master Ming was not wrong. What was wrong was that he did not have anything to explain. When he had disguised himself as Zichen, Dustless was just playing around. He had never thought that he would marry young Master Ming. It was really full of twists and turns. What happened? Why is it so chaotic? Is there an enemy invasion? At this moment, a voice that faintly contained anger suddenly sounded. It was mysterious and unfathomable. Then a black figure suddenly appeared like a ghost. "This is Donghuang Tai." Seeing the black-robed figure, Concubine Yin and Yu both felt despair. However, Xing Hun was overjoyed. He secretly thought that there was a way out. He quickly pointed at Dustless and exposed his disguise. "Lord Donghuang, Zichen is the greatest threat to our Yinyang school, Dustless." Chapter 1911. This is Donghuang Tai. Seeing the black-robed man, Imperial Concubine Yin and Yu felt hopeless. Xing Hun, on the other hand, was overjoyed. He knew that there was a way out. He quickly pointed at Dustless and exposed his disguise. "Lord Donghuang, Zichen is the greatest threat to the school of Yinyang, Dustless." Donghuang Tai's masked face shifted to Dustless's body. No wonder. After carefully observing Dustless for a while, Donghuang Tai let out a long sigh. "At first, I thought that you were very strange. I received vague information from the astrology that the Confucian school was about to be destroyed. However, after you joined the Confucian school, it became a sign of prosperity. On the contrary, the school of Yinyang declined. I already heard about this last time." Dustless pursed his lips and met Donghuang Tai's gaze. He asked, "So what do you think? Do you want to start a war with me?" Donghuang Tai. "How dare you?" The two figures hiding behind Donghuang Tai glared at him. Seeing that Dustless dared to call Donghuang Tai by his name, they were furious. It was as if they had been insulted. These two people were the two great elders of the school of Yinyang, Xiang Jun and Lady Xiang Huang. Just two lackeys. Dustless did not even look at them. He was not interested in them at all. "Dustless, you have two choices now." Donghuang Tai stared at Dustless for a while and said slowly, "Release Xing Hun now, and I can pretend that nothing happened. In the future, you will still be the left guardian of the school of Yinyang." Lord Donghuang, Xing Hun, Xiang Jun, and Lady Xiang all looked at Donghuang Tai in disbelief. He knew Dustless's true identity, but he still wanted to bring him home. This was clearly inviting a wolf into the house. What's the second choice? Dustless asked directly. The second choice. Dong Huangtai's tone turned cold. The second choice is very simple. You can die here. I die here? You really have the guts to say that. Dustless looked arrogantly at Dong Huangtai as if he was looking at a piece of trash. He mocked him without restraint. Sorry, I'm not a tactful person. Moreover, I have a better suggestion. What suggestion? Dong Huangtai frowned under the mask and asked calmly. If you accept my offer, I guarantee that the school of Inyang will never be destroyed. Dustless laughed, but his cold laughter gave people goosebumps. How about this? You kill yourself and give me the head of the Inyang school. Insolent brat attack. Dong Huangtai didn't say anything. He just gave the order coldly. Following his order, Xiang Jun and Madame Xiang pounced on Dustless. Only Xiaoxi Ming didn't move. Young Master Ming. Dong Huangtai saw the hesitant look on young Master Ming's face, and his tone turned gloomy. You do it too. Your marriage is now annulled. Kill him. Young Master Ming fell into an unprecedented dilemma. She wanted to make a move on Dustless, but the memories of her past rushed into the depths of her mind, awakening the kindness in her heart. She hesitated for a moment. Take this. Xiang Jun and Madame Xiang pounced forward from the front and back, as if they were going to attack from the front and back. There's no stage for the two of you to join in the fun. There are enough people here. Those who should be eliminated should be eliminated. Dustless released a powerful chakra from his body. He raised both his hands, and a wave of air burst out. Shinra Tensei. A perfect 360-degree defense circle was formed. It couldn't be seen by the naked eye, but it was real. Bang, bang, bang. Xiang Jun and Madame Xiang were caught off guard. They didn't even see the defense of the Shinra Tensei, and were inevitably sent flying. Crack, crack. Xiang Jun and Madame Xiang smashed through the sliding door, and blood could be seen at the corner of their mouths. Their faces were pale as they looked at Dustless in fear. This bastard didn't even make a move, and he had easily defeated them. Although it was just a simple move, it was extremely difficult for them to stand up. Young Master Ming, you don't have to be troubled. After dealing with Xiang Jun and Madame Xiang, Dustless looked at Dong Huangtai with a cunning and sinister smile. What's this guy up to? Seeing Dustless's sinister smile, Dong Huangtai's heart skipped a beat, and a bad feeling rose in his heart. Young Master Ming, the Dong Huangtai in your eyes is an imposter. Dustless's words were like a gale and torrential rain, making everyone choke with thunder, their heads spinning. The person in front of them was obviously the real Dong Huangtai. What did he mean by imposter? Are you crazy? Who would impersonate me? Who would dare? Dong Huangtai looked at Dustless strangely. What a joke. On the elusive mirage, in the territory of the Inyang school, who would dare to impersonate him? He must be tired of living, and he even pretended to be the real one. If I say you are an imposter, then you are an imposter. What's there to argue about? Dustless said casually. At the same time, he looked around with a cold gaze, full of warning. However, Xing Hun wasn't afraid of death. He sneered and said, Imposter? Ha ha ha, your head. Xing Hun's words stopped abruptly. He looked up and saw the scarlet eternal kaleidoscope locked onto him. If he said anything wrong, he would lose his life. Yes, this guy is the imposter Dong Huangtai. At the crucial moment, Xing Hun decisively betrayed Dong Huangtai and nodded his head furiously. Anyway, Dong Huangtai had stripped him of his position as a guardian, and Xing Hun was filled with hatred. Xing Hun, you bastard. Dong Huangtai almost suffocated to death. He pointed at Xing Hun with a trembling finger, wishing he could slap this kid who was full of nonsense to death. Chapter 1912. Xing Hun, are you out of your mind? This is the real Lord Dong Huang. Xiang Juan and Madame Xiang shouted angrily. It was fine if Dustless was being unreasonable, but why was Xing Hun following in his nonsense? Dong Huangtai's unique tone and powerful aura could not be faked. This fellow is really good at making false claims. Xiangjuan and Madame Xiang looked at each other, their hearts in a haze. From Dustless's display of power, the Yinyang school might really have a change of master today. Xinghun, I will give you one more chance. Take back what you said just now. Dong Huangtai was obviously angry. It was fine if Dustless was spouting nonsense, but even Xinghun, whom he had trusted, was singing a different tune. This was a slap in the face. Dream on. Xinghun snorted indifferently and said with hatred, Dustless is not a good person. I know that. You too. Huff huff huff. Xinghun's breathing suddenly sped up. He recalled his tragic past and shouted angrily, I have served the Yinyang school for so many years. Because of a groundless accusation, my guardian position was removed. Dong Huangtai, go ahead and play. I will not accompany you. If it was in the past, Xinghun would know what to do without Dong Huangtai's orders. But, after the previous incident, Xinghun saw Dong Huangtai's true colors. In order to win over Dustless, this fellow found a random reason to remove his guardian position, and gave it to Dustless. Since then, Xinghun had lost all hope in the Yinyang school. He worked tirelessly, but in the end his reputation was ruined. He was bitterly disappointed. Is that so? So you hate me so much? Since that is the case then. Dong Huangtai lowered his voice and dashed in front of Xinghun. The air blade in his hand was already grabbing toward Xinghun's neck. You want to kill someone in front of me? Seeing this, Dustless laughed coldly and grabbed toward Xinghun. Get over here, Wanxiang heavenly attraction. Just as the air blade was about to cut Xinghun's head, an irresistible gravitational force suddenly descended. Dong Huangtai's hand was forced to retract. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune in the future. Xinghun heaved a sigh of relief and revealed a relaxed smile. Xinghun was not celebrating his life. To be honest, he did not fear death. He just wanted to see Dustless and Dong Huangtai kill each other's fight. It would be best if they could all of them together on their lives' way. What move is this move? Under the influence of the gravitational force, Dong Huangtai realized that he was unable to control his own body. Dong Huangtai was slightly shocked. In the past, he had heard that Wu Qin was very strange. Now that he had seen it for himself, he finally understood why Xinghun had lost to him time and time again. Of his. As the moment the Eastern Emperor Tai was in his hand, Wu Qin activated the ability of the glint fruit. A large amount of light condensed in his hand. Heavenly sword of clouds. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. At the moment when the golden sword was formed, Wu Qin waved his blade decisively. The deadly blade went straight to Dong Huangtai's head. He wanted to decapitate this guy who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, and liked to be mysterious. Lord Donghuang. Sorrowful cries came from Xiangjun and Madame Xiang. They almost burst into tears as they watched Dong Huangtai being killed by Dustless. The radiance of the as heavenly sword sliced Dong Huangtai's body easily. However, it did not decapitate him as expected. The moment it sliced his body, it turned into a large amount of golden radiance. Witnessing this scene, Dustless recalled the elemental transformation of the heavenly sword's fruit. It was almost exactly the same. No, this is Soul Dragon Swim. Squinting his eyes, Dustless immediately said the name of the move that Dong Huangtai used. He was secretly shocked. I did not expect Soul Dragon Swim to be used in such a way. No wonder Dong Huangtai is the leader of the Yinyang school. Even Yueshin and Xinghun could not do it to this extent. Yueshin and Xinghun could use Soul Dragon Swim. But this Dong Huangtai in front of him was abnormal. In that instant, he turned his body into Soul Dragon Swim. It was similar to the elemental transformation of the Logia Devil Fruit, but there was a difference in essence. Anyway, the principle was similar, and he used it to avoid the fatal attack. The great Tao of Yin and Yang Wujitai. Do you think I became the leader of the Yinyang school just because I said so? The floating golden radiance gathered again, revealing Dong Huangtai who was unharmed. Pft! Wu Qin spat out a mouthful of saliva in an ungentlemanly manner. He was deliberately being naughty. The speed of his spit was unbelievably fast. This scene came too suddenly, causing Dong Huangtai to be attacked head-on. His entire body was covered with saliva. Bulsh asterisk T Donghuang Tai. Do you really think you can control the world and do whatever you want? Look at your stupid face. I think you should be called Saliva Tai. Dustless laughed loudly without restraint, but the others were on tenterhooks. Dustless's actions had completely angered this Enyang school's super big shot. B asterisk starred. Since you want to be torn into pieces so badly, I will fulfill your wish. Donghuang Tai was enraged. Purple air blades shot out from his hands. The density was 10 times higher than Xinghan's. Since Donghuang Tai was the Enyang school's boss, he naturally knew how to use most of the skills. For example, Soul Dragon Swim and condensing air blades. Donghuang Tai knew how to use them, and he was more familiar with them than Yueshan and Xinghan. You think too highly of yourself. Dustless's eyes focused on the terrifying purple air blades. He suddenly shouted, "Heavenly reflection!" Boom, boom, boom. Boundless black flames ignited in the air, instantly evaporating and devouring the air blades. At the same time, the flames spread towards Donghuang Tai's body at a terrifying speed. Chapter 1913. Black Flame. Donghuang Tai was also shocked. This was the first time he had seen such a flame. What a terrifying temperature. Donghuang Tai was in awe. Now that he was so close to the heavenly reflection, he felt a lot of emotions. Without hesitation, he retracted his chi blade to avoid being caught in the crossfire. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. His body shook as Donghuang Tai retreated decisively, distancing himself from the ferocious flame. Master Donghuang is retreating? Young Master Ming and the rest were shocked. In their minds, Donghuang Tai was invincible and omnipotent. He had always been in control of everything. Now that he was forced to retreat by Dustless, their impression of him was greatly reduced. Skull Blood Palm. Donghuang Tai skillfully made a few hand seals with both hands. A blood-red skull was formed in an instant and flew towards Dustless at an extremely fast speed. Because it was too fast, Dustless was caught off guard and was severely injured. He spat out a mouthful of blood. You bastard! Dustless looked at Donghuang Tai in despair. His face was pale. Finally, he closed his eyes unwillingly and fell to the ground. He died without even breathing. You want to fight me? Too weak. Donghuang Tai sneered. He did not even look at Dustless. Just as he was about to turn and leave, a mournful scream was heard. Xiangjuan. Lady Xiang, who was quite pretty, screamed in despair. Her voice was filled with endless screams. What happened? Donghuang Tai stopped when he heard the mournful scream. He turned around and saw the lifeless Lady Xiang lying on the ground where Dustless died. Hee. At the same time, an ear-piercing laughter was suddenly heard. Donghuang Tai's expression changed drastically as he looked towards the source of the laughter. It was Wu Chun who was smirking. This guy is not dead. Donghuang Tai was dumbfounded and his eyeballs almost fell out. He saw Wu Chun spit out blood and died after being hit by the bloody skeleton handprint. However, when he looked at the place where Wu Chun died, the dead person turned out to be Xiang Jun. Master Donghuang. Suppressing the hatred in her heart, Lady Xiang asked in a low voice, "Why did you kill my husband? Did he do anything wrong?" Donghuang Tai was furious and scolded loudly. "I killed Dustless. Why would I kill Lady Xiang, who is loyal to the sect of Enyang? Don't talk nonsense." "You are the one is talking nonsense." Madame Xiang was so angry that she laughed and said without showing any weakness, "Donghuang Tai, do you think everyone is an idiot? Everyone saw you kill my husband. If you don't believe me, you can ask them." How? How is that possible?" Donghuang Tai shook his head in denial. He saw him kill Dustless. How could Lady Xiang be dead? Confused, he looked at young Master Ming and asked, "Did I kill Lady Xiang?" Young Master Ming nodded without saying a word. Damn it. Donghuang Tai cursed in his heart. He pointed at Wu Chun furiously and roared, "Wu Chun, you must have used an illusion on me to give me an illusion." Ayaya. They say that dogs will bite people when they are driven mad. Today, I see that it is true. Donghuang Tai, everyone saw you kill Xiangjuan with their own eyes. And now you want to slander me and throw dirty water on my head? This method of framing is too vulgar. The eyes of the people are clear. Dustless looked at Dong Huangtai sarcastically. However, he was very happy. Even though Dong Huangtai was wearing a mask, Dustless could imagine his old face turning green. In fact, Dustless used his eye power to control Dong Huangtai, causing him to hallucinate. Then Lady Xiang became Dustless. Give me an explanation. Why did you kill my husband? Lady Xiang looked at Dong Huangtai coldly and secretly gathered her inner energy. Explanation? Pay attention to your identity. I am Dong Huangtai, the leader of the school of Yinyang. Dong Huangtai groaned. Madame Xiang actually dared to question him. She was clearly offending her superior. Dong Huangtai didn't give her any face and said, no matter what, she is already dead. Even if she was accidentally killed by me, she died a worthy death. You. Lady Xiang was not the only one who felt miserable. Even young Master Ximing was touched. Dong Huangtai's coldness and arrogance made everyone uncomfortable. I have said it before. This guy is not Dong Huangtai. He is an imposter. The real Dong Huangtai has been killed by this bastard. Everyone, let's surround him and take revenge. Dustless continued to instigate with evil intentions. Bastard, let's see who dares to do it. Dong Huangtai was extremely angry. He released his powerful aura, and no one dared to act rashly. Gentlemen. At this moment, Yueshin and Great Ximing suddenly arrived. When they saw the messy situation and Dong Huangtai, who was obviously at a disadvantage, a strange look flashed across their eyes. Yueshin and Great Ximing, you came at the right time. Dong Huangtai was overjoyed. He quickly said in a commanding tone, tell these traitors that I am the real Dong Huangtai, the leader of the school of Yinyang. There is only one Dong Huangtai in this world. Everyone turned to look at Yueshin and Great Ximing. Yueshin and Great Ximing looked at each other. Yueshin suddenly took a step forward and pointed at Dong Huangtai. Everyone, he is. Ha ha. Dong Huangtai laughed proudly. Yueshin's arrival could naturally prove his identity. Dustless's scheme would be exposed. But who would have thought that Yueshin's words would send him to the 18th level of hell? The real Dong Huangtai is dead. This guy is an imposter. Dong Huangtai left a message saying that he will pass the position of the leader of the school of Yinyang to Dustless. The other members of the school of Yinyang were shocked. They did not expect Dong Huangtai to be killed. But the masked Dong Huangtai was so angry that he vomited blood. Imposter my ass. Even if he was the real Dong Huangtai, he did not say that he would pass the position to Dustless. Chapter 1914. Yueshin, you bastard. Dong Huangtai was enraged. It was fine if the others betrayed him, but the Yueshin was even more important to Dong Huangtai than Xinghan and Dustless. Yet she betrayed him for no reason. Hee hee. Dustless saw Dong Huangtai's constipated face. Cough cough cough. Now we can confirm that this guy is an imposter, and I. Dustless patted his chest and said in high spirits, and I will inherit the school of Yinyang. Let's get rid of the culprit who killed Lord Dong Huang together. Great Ximing, do you think so too? Dong Huangtai had no choice but to look at Dong Huangtai for help. He never expected that he would be betrayed by everyone. However, what happened next proved Dong Huangtai's guess. He was just asking for humiliation. I can testify that this guy is an imposter. Great Ximing answered without hesitation. He was even more decisive than the Yueshin. After all, she had already slept with Dustless and had become Dustless's woman. Stop spouting nonsense. Don't try to mislead the crowd. You bunch of traitors from the school of Yinyang. Dong Huangtai reprimanded loudly. Just as he was about to explain, Madame Xiang pounced on him and attacked him mercilessly. How dare you? Seeing this, Dong Huangtai flew into a rage. He was completely infuriated. A terrifying aura exploded from his body. Since you bunch of traitors treat me like this, I will kill all of you and rebuild the school of Yinyang. Even though no one could see Dong Huangtai's face clearly, they could tell from his voice that he was really infuriated. Among the 5 elders and 2 guardians, other than Yin Zhongjuan, who was nowhere to be found, the rest had all betrayed Dong Huangtai. How could he not be angry? Kill us. Then you shall die first. Madame Xiang pounced on him. To her, it didn't matter if Dong Huangtai was an impostor or not. This guy had killed her husband. He must die. Aunt, you want to shake the heavens and the earth? What a joke! Seeing Lady Xiang pouncing towards him, Dong Huangtai sneered. He stared at the arm that was slapping towards him. His internal energy surged as he struck out with his palm. Both of their palms collided. Poochie. After all, this was the big boss of the Yinyang school. Dong Huangtai's strength was absolute. He easily dealt a heavy blow to Madame Xiang and sent her flying with a palm strike. Madame Xiang coughed out blood. Seeing this, the Yinyang school's people were terrified. This was Dong Huangtai's true strength. Even when facing an elder, he could easily suppress or even kill them. Get out of the way, let me do it. Dustless looked at Dong Huangtai coldly and sneered. It's true that others are ants, but in my eyes you are also an ant. Dong Huangtai snorted and said, Don't be so arrogant. I'll teach you a lesson. Swish. Swish. Just as he finished speaking, Dong Huangtai pounced over with golden light all over his body. His body was surrounded by a large amount of sacred golden light, which gradually turned into a strange image. This is a dragon? Yueshan and the rest squinted their eyes, especially Yueshan and Xinghan. They were shocked by Dong Huangtai's proficiency in controlling the soul dragon. The two of them were far from being able to do this. There's a good show to watch now. You two perverts better perish together. Xinghan chuckled with a gloating smile on his face. You overestimate yourselves. Seeing Dong Huangtai pouncing towards him and the huge dragon head that was formed by the soul dragon, Xinghan sneered. Ka ka ka. Dustless straightened his thumb and a dazzling light burst out from the tip of his finger. Die Dong Huangtai, you annoying bug. Dao Breaker 88, Flying Dragon Strikes Thief, Sky-Shaking Thunder Cannon. A thick flash of light burst out and shot towards the sky. It instantly destroyed Dong Huangtai's body. Even the entire elusive mirage shook violently and a huge hole was created. Bang bang bang. After receiving a fatal attack, Dong Huangtai and the soul dragon around him were instantly crushed. They turned into light and dissipated in the air. However, what was troubling was that Dong Huangtai's collapsed body reformed again after a short while. This guy. I didn't expect him to be so difficult to deal with, Dustless muttered. This was the first time he had encountered such a mysterious and special ability. So what if you're powerful? What can you do to me? Seeing Dustless's surprised face, Dong Huangtai laughed proudly and said, Dao is natural and mysterious. The great Dao is formless. Wujitai. Mysterious and mysterious? Dustless sneered and said contemptuously, It's just an unorthodox Dao. How dare you say it's mysterious? You're really too naive. After all, you're just a frog at the bottom of a well. As soon as his voice fell, Dustless's face turned cold. You've worked so hard for Yinyang School for so many years. It's not very kind to kill you. I'll give you a ticket to travel. Dustless smiled sinisterly. His eyes rotated rapidly and turned into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. These eyes. Dong Huangtai immediately had a bad feeling. When he killed Xiangjuan inexplicably just now, he happened to see these evil eyes by chance. As a result, Xiangjuan was killed by him without any warning. Kamui. Dustless suddenly shouted. The space around Dong Huangtai suddenly distorted and quickly swallowed his body. This is bad. Noticing the abnormality of his body, Dong Huangtai panicked. Chapter 1915. At first, Dong Huangtai thought that Wu Qin was helpless against him and was just bluffing. However, as the mysterious space started to distort violently, Dong Huangtai realized that he was wrong. What's going on? Dong Huangtai turned his head and looked at the distorted space in horror. His heart was in his throat and could jump out at any time. Ka ka ka. The space was torn apart by some mysterious energy, and it was constantly swallowing his body. And it was about to swallow him whole. I have to think of a way. Dong Huangtai's heart was cold, and he didn't have the strength to deal with such a strange ability. He found that if he used Soul Dragon, the light born in his body would be absorbed, and it would only accelerate his death. Do you understand how small you are now? Hearing Dong Huangtai's panicked tone, Dustless said calmly, goodbye. Dream on. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. Dong Huangtai roared, and all his true qi burst out from his body to resist the void behind him to prevent himself from being swallowed. Final struggle. Seeing this, Dustless looked disdainful, and his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan blinked gently, and his eye power burst out again. However, due to the limitations of the situation, Dustless didn't dare to use all his eye power, otherwise, Yueshin and others would also be swallowed. The Kamui that Dustless got from Obito was extremely powerful, and Dustless' eye power was too terrifying, and it didn't distinguish between friend and foe, and there was no limit to the eruption of eye power, and a little carelessness could swallow everyone. Even the entire mirage would be sucked into the dimensional space. This was not a casual statement. As the ten-tailed beast, its Dustless eye power could be said to be endless and boundless. If not for the fact that Dong Huangtai had some scruples at the moment, and that the situation was unfavorable to him, he would not have been able to maintain it for even a moment. Ka ka ka. The distorted space behind Dong Huangtai continued to expand, and a small hole gradually appeared, like a black hole, emitting a huge gravitational force, swallowing everything. So strong. Moon God and the others were all shocked. Their bodies could not help but move toward the twisted space. They tried their best to resist. Although Dustless was not targeting them, they still felt a deadly pressure. Moon God, Great Sea Ming, and Imperial Concubine Yen were sure that if Dustless increased his power, they would be devoured as well. Oh no. At this moment, Dong Huangtai suddenly realized that his right arm had been swallowed. He immediately felt a chill run down his spine as he struggled with all his might. You're just an ant trying to shake the heavens. You overestimate yourself. Seeing this, Dustless sneered and blinked again. Poochie. The power of the divine might was too strong, and the black hole was like the giant mouth of an invisible monster. It tore apart Dong Huangtai's right arm. Ah, my right hand. Dong Huangtai cried out in pain. His right arm was bleeding profusely, and the wound was badly mutilated. Taking a closer look, he saw that his entire right arm had been swallowed by the Shinwei. It was a miserable sight. Damn Dustless. Even if I die, I will drag all of you down with me. Dong Huangtai, who had been driven mad, looked at everyone coldly and finally fixed his gaze on young Si-Ming. Kiki, you two are so close. Since that is the case, young Si-Ming will die with me. Dong Huangtai seemed to have gone mad. His cold voice made young Si-Ming despair. Of course, she was not afraid of death. What made young Si-Ming sad was that she had worked hard for the school of Inyang for so many years. She had always thought of the school of Inyang, and was extremely loyal to Dong Huangtai. Even when others said that Dong Huangtai was a fake, young Si-Ming turned a deaf ear to it. In her heart, Dong Huangtai was the leader of the school of Inyang. What made young Si-Ming break down was that if others wanted to kill her, she would feel better. But at this moment, Dong Huangtai, whom she trusted the most, was so cold and heartless. She finally understood how sad Xing Hun was when he was betrayed by Dong Huangtai. Come here. Dong Huangtai made a grabbing motion with his left arm. Young Si-Ming immediately flew over, and was tightly bound by Dong Huangtai. Ouch! Her beautiful face turned pale. Young Si-Ming gritted her teeth. Her right arm was grabbed by Dong Huangtai and she could not resist. Even though he only had his left arm left, Dong Huangtai's strength was still beyond imagination. Haha, die with me. Dong Huangtai did not resist anymore. His body floated into the godmight space. He was about to be completely devoured and die with young Si-Ming. Just as he was about to step onto the path of death, the irresistible devouring force suddenly stopped, and the distorted space also returned to its original calm state. Let go of young Si-Ming and get the hell out of here. After staring at young Si-Ming for a while, Dustless finally looked at Dong Huangtai and said coldly, Before I change my mind, you better disappear. Ha ha ha. Dong Huangtai immediately laughed arrogantly and said, You actually gave up a good chance to kill me for a woman. This stupid decision will make you regret it for the rest of your life. Regret it for the rest of my life. Glancing at Dong Huang Tai casually, Dustless said calmly, "Do you think you can make a comeback? I have already crippled one of your arms, and you have even lost your position as the head of the Inyang family. You are just a stray dog now. It's a small world. We still have a long way to go. Just wait and see." Dong Huang Tai snorted angrily and left angrily. "Aren't you being too reckless?" Great Sea Ming and Moon God came over and said unhappily, "Letting the tiger go back to the mountain will be a big problem in the future. Is it really worth it for young Sea Ming?" "Yes, it is a tiger. But it is a dying tiger," Dustless replied casually. "A tiger's most powerful weapon, its fangs, were all crushed and one of its legs was broken. It could not even eat. What threat could it pose?" Moreover, Dustless did feel guilty towards young Sea Ming. Chapter 1916. "Yes, it's a tiger. It's just a sick tiger," Dustless replied nonchalantly. "If a tiger's most powerful weapon, its fangs, were all crushed and one of its legs was broken, it couldn't even eat. What threat could it pose?" Moreover, Dustless did feel guilty towards young Master Ming. Before he left, Dong Huang Tai didn't forget to look back at the elusive mirage. As the head of the school of Inyang, he was actually chased out by a group of underlings. Humans are not what they used to be. The world is so cold. With a sigh, Dong Huang Tai finally disappeared in loneliness. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. "Kid, do you think you're very lucky?" In one of the cells, Dustless smiled at the dispirited Xing Hun and teased, "Former guardian, why do you look so gloomy? Aren't you very lucky to be alive?" "Dustless, what are you trying to do?" Xing Hun looked at Dustless with an unfriendly expression and said fearlessly, "Kill me if you have the guts. I promise I won't even stab my eyes." "Kill you? That's a pity. You still have some value." Dustless glanced at Xing Hun and said with a smile, "A few days ago, the Mo family seized the Black Dragon dossier. The content was about the 18th of next month, the first emperor's Eastern tour." "Nonsense," Xing Hun immediately retorted. "Why haven't I heard of Ing Zheng's Eastern tour? Don't try to lie to me. I can't deny that this is a scam." Dustless didn't deny it. He nodded and said, "The person who is going to replace Ing Zheng is you, Xing Hun. How can I let you die now? If you want to die, you'll die later." "You bastard, you're still trying to use me?" Xing Hun was furious and immediately stood up. He didn't know where he got the strength to shout, "You won't even let a lowly prisoner go. How despicable are you?" "Despicable? We're the same. You have no right to criticize me." Dustless glanced at Xing Hun and left lazily. The special room that Dong Huang Tai usually stayed in. The structure of the room was different from the others. The ceiling was made up of countless special materials that resembled stars, emitting a mysterious blue light. The floor beneath his feet was the same, as if the sky was filled with twinkling stars. He had the illusion that he was in the universe. However, the place where Dong Huang Tai usually sat was now occupied by Dustless. At this moment he was taking a nap with his eyes closed, looking quite leisurely. "Seriously, in the end, I still became the head of the Inyang school." Sighing, Wu Chen opened his eyes and saw the moon god, Great Sea Ming and concubine Yan. Of course, there was also Yun Zhongjuan, Madame Xiang, and the young Yu, who was blinking her eyes. After Dong Huang Tai left the Inyang school, it was impossible for this huge sect to disappear just like that. Hence, Dustless became the sect master. Dustless did not refuse. The Inyang school was responsible for helping the Qin kingdom to get rid of the rebels and plundering the 7 constellations of the Azure Dragon. This was also in line with Dustless's interests. Hence, there was no harm in becoming the sect master. Dustless becoming the new head of the Inyang school was what everyone wanted. The group of Inyang school members who were standing now all agreed. After all, this world respected the strong. Dong Huang Tai was not as good as Dustless, so he could only give up his position. "Where's young Master Ming?" Dustless frowned when he did not find any trace of young Master Ming. "I've informed her, but young Master Ming did not come." Moon God showed a helpless expression. "Forget it. Dustless waved his hand and did not bother to care. He stared at concubine Yen and said, Concubine Yin is no longer a sinner of the Yin-Yang school. She will return to her previous position. As for the next goal, she will be responsible for finding the 7 constellations of the Azure Dragon and assisting the Qin Kingdom. And Dustless's gaze fell on Yin Zhongjuan's head. He ordered, You must develop the elixir of immortality as soon as possible. Don't let me down. Sure. Hearing this, Yin Zhongjuan nodded quickly. Thinking of Dustless's terrifying strength, he felt a chill. Even his former boss had been turned into a stray dog by this guy, let alone him. He'd better be obedient. The next main task. Dustless narrowed his eyes slightly and said with a sinister smile, The next step is to annex the Confucian school. Also, the news that I have become the head of the Yin-Yang school must not be told to anyone. Those who disobey will be killed without mercy. Annex the Confucian school? This will take a long time. The moon goddess frowned. She looked at Wu Chen's flickering eyes, which were full of cold killing intent. Moon god, this is very simple. If Fu Nian and the second head, Yen Lu, are both dead, I, the third head of the Confucian school, will naturally replace them. Wouldn't this huge problem be completely solved? Fu Nian's original intention was to use Dustless and young master Ming Liani to take advantage of the power of the School of Nutrition, to become the head of the 100 schools of thought. The Confucian school even wanted to occupy the world. Their ambition was not small, but it was too far away. There is also the matter of eliminating the Mo family and Wei Zhuang and Lu Sha. Dustless smiled maliciously and said, Those guys still don't know that I have become the head of the Yin-Yang school. I can take advantage of the Black Dragon dossier incident to eliminate them in one fell swoop. As for Duan Murong and Snow Lady, Dustless muttered to himself, The Yin-Yang school under my rule is more suitable for them. As for the others, they should just disappear and purify the air. Chapter 1917. As for the life and death of the other members of the Mo family, this was not something Dustless could interfere with. Anyway, everyone had different standpoints, and it was inevitable that they would meet on the battlefield. There was no right or wrong between them. It was just that their philosophies and values were different. You mean to kill Fu Nian and the second head of the Confucian school, Yen Lu? This is indeed the fastest and most effective way. All the confusion will disappear. Moon Goddess agreed. When people died, everything would disappear, and Dustless would naturally become the master of the Confucian school. Who is suitable to kill Fu Nian? Moon Goddess asked with a frown. The Yin-Yang school did not seem suitable. The Confucian school and the Yin-Yang school were about to form a marriage alliance. If they were to kill Fu Nian and Yen Lu now, wouldn't they be criticized? This is very simple. Dustless suddenly laughed sinisterly. This kind of thing can be left to me, the spy. It is easy to dodge an open spear, but hard to guard against a hidden arrow. I am the most suitable person to quietly eliminate the two of them. Even though Dustless was the third head of the Confucian school, he had no power and was just a puppet. In Dustless's opinion, why did Fu Nian choose him as the third head of the Confucian school to form a marriage alliance with young Master Ming? To put it bluntly, he was just using him to make the Confucian school prosper. That brat dared to use me. He must pay the price. Dustless sneered. He was not a gentleman if he did not take revenge. It was good enough that Fu Nian was able to live for so long. As for Yen Lu, although the two of them did not have a deep grudge, their standpoints were different after all. Moreover, this fellow often supported Zhang Liang, and Wu Chen and Zhang Liang had fought openly and secretly many times. Yen Lu could be considered to have died on the right path. Okay, the battle plan ends here. What other doubts do you have? Say it all. Dustless's gaze swept past the elders of the Yin-Yang school. He lay on the seat that Dong Huangtai used to sit in comfortably. Everyone looked at each other. In the end, concubine Yin took the lead and said, Xing Hun killed my husband Yin Dan. Now that we have captured him, why don't we kill him? Dustless took a sip of tea, raised a finger and promised, Xing Hun will die within a month. That's more like it. Concubine Yin breathed a sigh of relief when she heard this. A rare bright smile appeared on her face. As for Yuer, who was standing beside concubine Yen, she didn't care. She didn't even react. Yuer had always hated Yen Dan. After all, it was Yen Dan who had abandoned her and her mother. Especially after she found out that Yen Dan was her father. Yuer was filled with disgust towards Yen Dan, and her feelings towards the Mo family gradually faded. I have a question. This time, the one who spoke was Great Siming. He said bluntly, "Why should we listen to Qin State's arrangement? It is completely unnecessary. We can even overthrow them and establish our own regime." The people from the school of Inyang were silent. In fact, this was what they wanted to ask. There was no need for them to cooperate with the Qin kingdom, and even help them eliminate the remaining evil. With the strength of the school of Inyang, it would not be a problem to kick Qin Shi Huang off the throne. Most importantly, I'm not interested in becoming an emperor. I'm more like destroying the world. As for ruling a country, forget about it. Dustless shrugged and gave an answer that made everyone not know whether to laugh or cry. He did not have the ability to be an emperor. Huff, huff, huff. Inside young Master Ming's room, it was warm and filled with a very elegant fragrance. It was very similar to young Master Ming's body scent. The clean and light fragrance made people unable to stop themselves from taking a few more sniffs. Are you here to execute me? Young Master Ming turned around and looked at the person who came. Her eyes were filled with coldness. I just changed my appearance. I am still the same person. Dustless heard young Master Ming's cold tone and felt a slight headache. He explained patiently, "We are still on the same side. There is no need to treat me like an outsider." On the same side? Young Master Ming glanced at Dustless indifferently and said softly, "If you really treat me as one of your own, why did you use the disguise technique?" Dustless was speechless. He could only quibble. "If I meet you with my real appearance, are you sure you won't attack me and kill me?" Young Master Ming raised her eyebrows slightly. Her cold tone softened a bit. She snorted. "You are still as eloquent and cunning as before." "There is a chance." Dustless chuckled in his mind. He tried to persuade her. "Back then, I was still a wanted criminal, and you were one of the 5 elders of School of Inyang. Of course, we would fight to the death. I had no choice but to meet you with Zichen's identity. Now that you have won and become the headmaster of School of Inyang, what are you going to do with me?" Looking at Dustless calmly, young Master Ming said, "Back then you didn't have to care about me. As long as Donghuang Taiyi and I were dead, School of Inyang would be under your control. Does it matter? Even if you and Donghuang Taiyi were still alive, School of Inyang would still be under my control. As for letting Donghuang Taiyi save you..." Looking at young Master Ming's cold face with a complicated expression, Dustless said frankly, "It was just an instinctive reaction." Instinctive reaction. Young Master Ming sighed and said, "I am a bit surprised by your words. I don't think I am that important in your heart. In terms of strength, I am not as powerful as Moon God. In terms of loyalty, I am not as loyal as Great Siming. You can't say it like that." Dustless shook his head. He paused for a while and said, "Everyone is different. It is because you are different from them that you are unique. If everyone is the same, what is the difference between you and a zombie? You really know how to enlighten people." Young Master Ming looked at Dustless in surprise. She didn't expect him to be so good at talking. The resistance she had for Dustless lying to her had disappeared a lot. "Of course." Seeing young Master Ming's relaxed face, Dustless was secretly proud. After all, he had lived for hundreds of years. His talking skills were naturally at the level of the creator. Chapter 1918. You liar. Don't try to lie to me anymore. Don't think that I don't know. At this moment, Xiao Ximing suddenly said something out of the blue, which stunned Dustless. "What did I lie to you about?" Dustless asked hesitantly. It was just an identity. Was there anything else that he didn't tell Xiao Ximing? Humph. Xiao Ximing snorted and frowned her delicate nose. Then she said, "Moon God and Great Siming were on your side that day. To be honest, I was shocked. They have been your people for a long time, right?" "Oh, so that's why." Hearing this, Dustless was enlightened. He smiled and said, "It's better to be safe than sorry. It's never a bad idea to rope in a few more friends, especially people like you." "People like me?" Xiao Ming was slightly surprised. She looked at Dustless in confusion and asked, "Could it be that I have an advantage over Moon God and Great Sea Ming?" "That's not it. Every one of you has your own characteristics." Dustless shook his head and said softly, "All in all, what's your choice? You saw what happened that day. Although you're very loyal to Dong Huang Tai, that guy is evil. You're just cannon fodder and chess pieces to him." "You're right." Hearing Ji Hao's words, Xiao Ming gave a bitter smile and said sadly, "Only after what happened last time did I realize that all members of the school of Yinyang were nothing but goods in his eyes, including us, elders and protectors. We were disposable." "That's right. The Yinyang school under my rule is finally back on track." Dustless nodded in agreement. "You." Hearing this, Xiao Ming rolled her eyes at Dustless and complained, "So after all this time, you just want to use Dong Huang Tai to set off your nobility?" "That's the truth." Dustless stared at Xiao Ming's pretty face and asked, "If you want to stay, my door will always be open for you. As for leaving, I won't stop you. However," changing the topic, Dustless continued, "I think it's better for you to stay in the school of Yinyang. If you travel alone, you'll attract unnecessary trouble. Quicksand, Mahist, and other sects all view the school of Yinyang as a thorn in their side. They want nothing more than to get rid of them as soon as possible. Moreover, someone as beautiful as you will definitely be targeted by lechers if you leave the Yinyang family. Therefore, it's better for you to continue staying in the Yinyang family." You obviously said that on purpose." Young Master Ming was instantly speechless. Dustless had already said so. Could she still leave? Immediately, he let out a long sigh and said, "Since everyone agrees that you are the new leader, I have nothing to be dissatisfied with." Xiao Ming had no choice but to admit defeat. "Your choice is definitely the wisest one." Hearing this, Dustless was overjoyed. He couldn't help but stroke young Arbiter Ming's purple hair. "Don't touch me." Sensing Dustless approaching and rubbing his body against hers, young Master Ming's lips twitched. At this moment, a strange feeling swept across her heart. The words that she was going to scold Dustless suddenly became soft and coquettish. Young Master Ming's face immediately turned red. She was quite embarrassed. "Why are you being so formal? We are engaged to begin with. Have you forgotten that Dong Huang Tai has already betrothed you to me? Plus, we have slept on the same bed." Dustless chuckled and approached young Master Ming again. In the end, he took an inch and wanted a mile. Finally, he hugged her slim waist. "Nonsense. Have you forgotten that Dong Huang Tai has already been expelled by you? Of course, his words don't count." Young Master Ming didn't appreciate it. She looked annoyed, but when she heard Dustless continue to accept this marriage, she couldn't help but show a little dimple on her face. It was very cute. However, this scene only lasted for a moment. Dustless didn't notice it. "How is this nonsense? You are my fiancé. That is a fact," Dustless said seriously. "Plus, I am thinking for your sake." "Thinking for my sake?" Young Master Ming turned her head and looked at Dustless in confusion. She asked, "This is obviously you bullying me. How did it become thinking for my sake?" No. Dustless showed an unprecedented shameless expression and said seriously, "If our marriage is really over, I am a thick-skinned man. Of course, it doesn't matter if no one is pointing fingers at me. But what about you? Others will definitely say that I am the one who divorced you. How can I bear to see a young lady being pointed at behind her back? So, I can only sacrifice myself and give up my own happiness. For your sake, I will continue to accept this marriage." Pfft. Young Master Ming was stunned by Dustless's words. This guy's level of shamelessness was rarely seen in this world. His shameless words made people speechless. She couldn't find any loopholes. He must have gotten used to it after a long time. "You scoundrel!" Young Master Ming glared at Dustless with dissatisfaction and turned her head away. She didn't want to look at Dustless anymore. "You call me a scoundrel?" Dustless pretended to be angry. He took a deep breath of young Master Ming's elegant body fragrance. Finally, He got close to her ear and blew a breath of hot air. Young Master Ming's pale earlobe suddenly itched, and she started to panic. Now I will show you how scoundrel I am. As soon as he finished speaking, Wu Chen attacked young Master Ming's thin lips. In the blink of an eye, he sealed young Master Ming's mouth. Young Master Ming was stunned. She didn't expect Dustless to be so daring. She started to struggle violently. However, to Dustless, young Master Ming's strength was not worth mentioning. On the contrary, sometimes, resistance and struggle could arouse a man's desire to conquer. It would make him more interested than usual. It would make him drool. Chapter 1919. When he woke up again, it was already the morning of the next day. Damn it, what's going on? Dustless's head was so swollen that it felt like it was going to split open. Yesterday, he had accidentally crossed the line and finally tore off the last layer of clothing with young Master Ming. What a sin! Looking at the obvious bloodstains on the bedding, Dustless felt awkward. In his mind, he suddenly recalled the crazy scene last night, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. No matter what kind of creature it is, they are all controlled by their subconscious desires. Wu Chen sighed. When he saw young Master Si Ming's half-naked body, he picked up the blanket and covered her body. Looking at young Master Ming's body, Dustless's heart was itching again. The rosy white body aroused Dustless's ambition. Just as he was about to crawl under the bedding and go back to sleep, young Master Ming's voice sounded first. Don't move, it hurts. Young Master Ming moaned softly, her pale face frowning subconsciously. Let's go back to the little sage manor, and deal with Fu Nian first. Looking at the torn clothes on the floor, Dustless roughly glanced at them. They were all young Master Ming's clothes. She was also exhausted yesterday. There was still a long time in the future, so there was no need to rush. Crack, crack, crack. First he stood up and stretched lazily, his bones cracking. Then Dustless walked around twice, and then put on the Confucian disciple's special jacket unhurriedly. In his mind he was thinking about how to deal with Yan Lu and Fu Nian. Although these two weren't as cunning as Zhang Liang, they were very smart. It wouldn't be good if they saw through him. Creak. Unexpectedly, just as he opened the door, a few slim and graceful figures were standing in the quiet corridor. Why are you guys like ghosts? You don't make any sound when you walk, Dustless said unhappily. He looked up and saw Yueshan, Great Master Ming, Concubine Yan, and Yu Er appearing in the corridor without even greeting him. Big Brother Dustless was too engrossed, so he didn't notice us. It's been almost 4 hours. Yu Er's small nose snorted and muttered. Cough, cough, cough. Hearing this, Dustless coughed awkwardly. He pretended to be serious and ordered. In the future, without my permission, no one can deliberately approach my residence. Although the school of Yin-Yang emphasizes the fusion of yin and yang into all things, there are still some aspects that need to be restrained. Otherwise, if this goes on for a long time, the body will be worn down sooner or later. The moon god glanced at Dustless and spoke plainly. This is my private matter. It's not up to you to interfere. Also, my body is very healthy. You want to wear me down? Dream on. Dustless stared at Moon God angrily. What Moon God said made him lose face. She was obviously questioning his ability in some way. What is it? The sun has just risen. Dustless asked doubtfully. The sun had just risen. At this time most people were still sleeping. Everyone was very lazy at dawn, and Dustless was no exception. The second in command of the Confucian school, Yan Lu, is here. He said he wants to see Donghuang Tai. Great Si Ming said faintly. He looked at young Si Ming, who was sleeping peacefully in the room, and was quite jealous. After all, she was the first person to have sex with Dustless. Dustless frowned and asked. Did that guy say what he was here for? No, he didn't. This time, it was Concubine Yan who spoke. As Dustless became the leader of the school of Yin-Yang, there were no extra restrictions on her relationship with Yu Er and her mother. They could meet whenever they wanted to. Therefore, Concubine Yan was very loyal to Dustless. Do we need to kill him? He dared to enter the Mirage alone. He has guts. Concubine Yan sneered. If it was outside the mirage, it would be fine. However, Yanlu had entered the mirage alone, which was full of experts. It was obviously an early death. Don't worry. I will take care of Funyan and Yanlu. Moreover, they can die anywhere but in the mirage. Dustless waved his hand. As a spy of the Confucian school, he could take care of these two people. But he said he wants to see Dong Huangtai. Moon Goddess said hesitantly. Dong Huangtai has left the school of Yinyang. Where can we find him? This is very simple. Outsiders have never seen the real Dong Huangtai, right? Dustless smiled mysteriously. This is true. Moon Goddess, Concubine Yan, and Great Ming looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Dong Huangtai was always dressed in black and wore a gloomy mask. No one knew who he was, and no one could see his real face. So this mission can be completed by anyone. Anyway, no one has seen Dong Huangtai. Anyone can be Dong Huangtai. Wu Chen narrowed his eyes, a sly look flickering in them. Bring me the clothes that Dong Huangtai usually wears. I will pretend to be Dong Huangtai. Yanlu dared to sneak into the mirage alone. I want to see if he has eaten a bear's heart or a leopard's guts. On the mirage, in the lobby that was usually used to receive guests. He is not here yet? Yanlu paced back and forth. His calm state of mind was rippling. He had been waiting for 2 hours, but Dong Huangtai still had not come to receive him. It was extremely rude to leave a guest aside and not ask about it, especially for a sect like the Confucian school that paid attention to etiquette. It could be seen that the school of Yinyang looked down on the Confucian school. Isn't it a pleasure to have friends from afar? There is such a saying in the Confucian school, right? A strange sound wave spread out. Yanlu looked up and saw a strange yet expectant figure. It was so quiet that it seemed to have come out of the void. There was not even a trace of fluctuation. It was like a dead man walking upright. Yanlu could not sense his aura. Seeing this, Yanlu was shocked. He said in disbelief, "This is Dong Huangtai? He is indeed as unfathomable as the rumors say. I can't even see how he appeared." Chapter 1920. Senior. Yanlu hurriedly cupped his fists and bowed apologetically. "Senior, please forgive me for my sudden visit. Don't worry about it. We will be on the same side in the future. If you have something to say, just say it." Dustless disguised himself as Dong Huangtai spoke like an old man. "Why are you calling me senior?" Dustless was quite uncomfortable with this title. A few days ago, because he had become the third master of the Confucian school, he had helplessly called Yanlu and Funyan senior brothers. Now this fellow had suddenly changed to calling him senior. This world was changing really quickly. "What is it?" Dustless disguised himself as Dong Huangtai and Yanlu sat down. Dustless looked at the latter expectantly, hoping that this fellow would give him a suitable answer. "To tell you the truth, I have come to discuss the marriage of the Confucian school's Zichen and your young master Ming." After thinking for a bit, Yanlu said, "My senior brother Funyan said that the sooner the marriage, the better." "It's me for this matter?" Wu Chen's face was filled with disappointment. He originally thought that Yanlu had brought some shocking news. It turned out that it was just this stupid matter of a marriage alliance. He immediately felt very bored and somewhat regretted coming to see Yanlu. "Let's hold it in the next few days," Dustless casually said. "In the next few days, I will order young Master Ming and Zichen to get married. From then on, the two families will become one." That would be for the best. Yanlu was overjoyed. He did not expect Dong Huangtai to so readily agree to the conditions of the Confucian school. Thinking of Funyan's instructions, Yanlu opened his mouth. Just as he was about to pull the relationship between the two families closer, Dustless disguised as Dong Huangtai's voice came first. "To tell you the truth, just a while ago, the original third master of the Confucian school suddenly came." Wu Chen suddenly said something shocking. His words stunned Yanlu on the spot. He looked at Wu Chen with a head full of fog. "Zifang?" After being stunned for a few seconds, Yanlu came back to his senses. He recalled Zhang Liang's background and the grudge between him and the Qin dynasty. His heart skipped a beat, and he sighed inwardly. Could it be that Zifang launched a sneak attack on the school of Yinyang? Looking at Dustless disguised as Donghuang Tai, Yanlu suddenly felt despair. Look at how scared you are. Dustless stared at the nervous Yanlu with a mocking look, then laughed in his heart. He pretended to be filled with killing intent and said, that guy just sneakily attacked the guardian of the school of Yinyang, moon god. This. Dustless's sudden words caused Yanlu's expression to change drastically. Perhaps the relationship between the Yinyang school and the Confucian school would be destroyed because of Zhang Liang. Senior, Zifang is young and ignorant. May I ask where he is? I will definitely teach him a lesson and give you a perfect answer. Yanlu quickly spoke up for Zhang Liang and begged, as for the injuries of the guardian of the moon god, the Confucian school is willing to take full responsibility. Seeing that the two factions are about to be connected by marriage, please just let it go. Of course. I still trust the Confucian school. However, Zhang Liang. Dustless's tone became slightly heavy. In the barren mountains west of Mulberry Sea, Zhang Liang is surrounded by the Yinyang school. I hope you can persuade him to turn back. Thank you, senior. Goodbye. Yanlu left with a face full of gratitude. He left the Mirage without stopping and did not return to the Little Saint Manor. Instead, he went to the barren mountains west of Mulberry Sea City that Dustless said. When did Zhang Liang sneak attack the moon god? Why didn't I know? She was fine just now. Seeing Yanlu leave anxiously, concubine Yan, who had rushed over, asked. Of course, I made it up. Taking off the heavy prop that was Donghuang Tai, Dustless smiled sinisterly. Unfortunately, Yanlu will not meet Zhang Liang. He will die there forever. He tricked Yanlu out of the city just to find a suitable place to kill him. Dustless did not have a good impression of Zhang Liang. He was insidious, hypocritical, and liked to play tricks. Yanlu had helped Zhang Liang time and time again. In that case, he could not blame Dustless for being ruthless. Who are those people? Standing on the Mirage, Dustless could not help but frown as he looked at the soldiers of the Qin state walking on the street. Although they were all soldiers of the Qin state, their aura was different. These soldiers that he had never seen before were definitely the elites of the elites. You don't know? Concubine Yin looked at Dustless in surprise. After seeing that he did not seem to be lying, she said, those are the Shadow Secret Guards, Yingzheng's shadows. Their general is Zhang Han, Yingzheng's trusted subordinate. I heard that he is loyal to the Qin state and will carry out any order. I see. No wonder I feel a sense of familiarity. It's Zhang Han. Dustless looked at the general on the horse. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. Those who were stared at by Zhang Han could not help but have goosebumps. Zhang Han's strength is not bad. He can be considered an expert. His ability to solve cases is superb. I did not expect Yingzheng to send him here. It seems like he values Shanghai a lot. Concubine Yan said. The one who should have a headache was the anti-Qin alliance. Zhang Han is loyal to the Qin state? That's a big mistake. Zhang Han is loyal to Yingzheng. Wu Qin sneered. In history, Zhang Han was a person with both praise and blame. After Yingzheng's death, the Qin state fell into an unprecedented turmoil. All of this was because Zhao Gao appointed Hu Hai, the second son of the Qin state, as the emperor. Under the tyrannical rule, all kinds of uprisings broke out. It was worth mentioning that the hegemon of Western Chu, Xiangyu, led his army to war with Zhang Han. During the Battle of Julu, the Qin army led by Zhang Han was defeated by the Chu army. Logically speaking, someone like Zhang Han who was highly valued by Yingzheng should have died in battle to thank Yingzheng. However, that was not the case. Zhang Han shamelessly submitted to Xiangyu, and even brought along 200,000 surrendered Qin soldiers. Later on, Xiangyu was afraid that the surrendered Qin soldiers would revolt, so he displayed the ruthlessness of the hegemon of Western Chu and killed all 200,000 surrendered Qin soldiers. Because of this, Zhang Han was given the title of Traitor of Qin. Chapter 1921. Zhang Han and his secret shadow guards entering Mulberry Sea was just a small interlude. In the end, he's just a clown who thinks he's infallible. Dustless glanced at Zhang Han and followed Yanlu. Zhang Han might be glorious now and in the future, but his ending was tragic. He was defeated by Liu Bang, the founding emperor of the Han dynasty, and he committed suicide. However, some people you don't care about just love to care about you. Are you Zichen from the Confucian school? As soon as Wu Chen came down from the elusive mirage, Zhang Han leaped down from his steed and greeted him warmly. However, his eyes were as sharp as an eagle's, threatening to pierce through anyone's heart. That's right. What can I do for you? Dustless glanced at Zhang Han and asked frivolously. Seeing this, Zhang Han's eyebrows shot up. Ordinary people wouldn't even dare to breathe loudly in front of him, let alone someone as calm as Wu Chen. I also know that other than being the third head of the Confucian school, you also have a special identity, the left guardian of the school of Yinyang. Zhang Han said. You're quite well informed. Dustless's eyes widened slightly. He was surprised by Zhang Han's intelligence. Then he glanced at the elusive mirage. There were probably spies from the Qin army on it. Thinking about it, it made sense. Who was Qin Shi Huang? He was the first emperor in history, and he was able to unify the 6 states. His foresight was unparalleled. As the saying goes, how can one allow others to sleep beside one's bed? The 100 schools of thought were the source of chaos, but the school of Yinyang was also one of them. It was normal for him to be wary of them. There's no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. The secret shadow guards will take advantage of everything. Goodbye. After smiling, Zhang Han cupped his fists and left. The school of Yinyang was Qin's ally, and the Confucian school wasn't Qin's enemy. What's the meaning of this? Is he here to show off? Behind Wu Chen, concubine Yan frowned as she stared at Zhang Han's back. She couldn't shake off the feeling that Zhang Han's words were laced with undisguised hostility. Concubine Yan, don't worry about it. Dustless waved his hand and explained with a smile. Yingzheng values the school of Yinyang. Naturally, some petty people are jealous. There's no need to bother with them. They're just a bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well. For example, Zhao Gao and Li Si were both afraid that the Yinyang school would become too powerful and threaten their plans. In their hearts, Hu Hai was the most suitable to be emperor. Even though this guy was not as good as Fu Su. But for their own interests, Li Si and the others still chose the former. This is an internal conflict of the empire. It has nothing to do with us. Let's go and destroy that brat Yan Lu, and then kill Fu Nian. It's best if we can find a suitable reason to shift the blame to Zhang Liang, and kick this eyesore cockroach out of the Confucian school. Dustless said with a cold smile. Then he glanced in the direction where Yan Lu had disappeared and followed him like the wind. As for Yan Lu's life and death, it was undeniable that this person was not bad and did not have any conflict with Dustless. However, they had different standpoints and stood on opposite sides of each other. It was inevitable that they would meet on the battlefield. Secondly, Yan Lu had helped Zhang Liang time and time again. This had also touched Dustless's bottom line. Strange. In the barren mountains outside Mulberry Sea City, Yan Lu frowned as he stared at the surrounding desolate area. He had been wandering around for almost 2 hours, but he did not find any trace of Zhang Liang and the others. Could it be that the school of Yinyang's information was wrong? Yan Lu guessed. After searching for a long time, he still did not find anyone from the school of Yinyang. Tap, tap, tap. At this moment, light footsteps suddenly sounded. Yan Lu subconsciously turned his head. Zichen. After seeing who it was, Yan Lu felt even more strange, especially when he saw the woman in a palace dress standing beside him. His brows were almost knitted together, and he was somewhat dissatisfied. Even though he was about to have a marriage alliance with the school of Yinyang, there was no need to be so close to the school of Yinyang, right? Why are you here? Yan Lu glanced at concubine Yan. If not for her existence, Yan Lu really wanted to tell Dustless to keep a distance from concubine Yan. Perhaps because of Zhang Liang's influence, Yan Lu also felt a little repulsed by the school of Yinyang, but he did not show it. Second senior brother, are you looking for a wife? Wu Chen asked with a smile. His expression looked harmless to humans and animals. Ever since he became the third master of the Confucian school, Dustless had been upgraded magnificently. Yan Lu, Fu Nian, and Dustless had become the same generation. That's right. Yan Lu nodded. Just as he was about to speak, a flash of light suddenly burst out in his eyes. An extremely exaggerated light rushed toward him at a rapid speed. Realizing that something was wrong, Yanlu hurriedly drew his sword, but it was already too late. In front of light, no one was an exception. Fresh blood flowed out of the corner of Yanlu's mouth. He looked down in disbelief. It was a dazzling golden sword, and the person who waved the butcher's knife at him was his third junior brother, who looked sunny and gentle just now. At this moment, his expression was cold. His pitch-black eyes were isolated from the world, as if he was not a person of this world. Zichen, this is your true face. Looking at Dustless, who was so close to him, Yanlu gritted his teeth and said, I don't understand. Is it because of my relationship with Zifang that I am on your must-kill list? This is just one of the reasons. A mysterious force twisted his face, and the face that was made up by Great Ming returned to normal. A face that was different from Zichen's was revealed. You are Dustless. Yanlu's pupils suddenly shrank, and his fists cracked. Zifang, that bastard, brought you into the Confucian school. He wants to kill little Saint Zhuang. Chapter 1922. At this moment, Yanlu could finally understand Fu Nian's heart. No wonder his relationship with Zhang Liang was so bad. Zhang Liang was a straightforward person. He did everything according to his will. Or rather, he was more straightforward. Everything was based on the recovery of Korea. He completely ignored the life and death of the sage manor. Regret it? Dustless pulled out the sharp edge of the heaven-gathering cloud sword. He smiled and joked. If you want to complain, you can only blame Zhang Liang. It's best to go to the king of hell and sue that kid. It was Zifang who introduced you to the Confucian school. No matter what, he has done you a favor. Why do you repay kindness with enmity? Yanlu fell to the ground when he noticed that his vitality was quickly disappearing and his abdomen was bleeding. He was in a trance, and Dustless was blurred in his eyes. You said Zhang Liang has done me a favor? Yanlu, what a joke. Zhang Liang just wanted to use me to deal with the Qin state, and Fu Nian just wanted to use me. The marriage with the Yinyang school, hoping that the Confucian school would soar and soar to the sky. However, it was undeniable that Fu Nian's dream had indeed been achieved. But the head of the Confucian school will also be changed. Dustless sneered. To put it bluntly, the Confucian school is just a place to hide evil. Although the Confucian school read the books of the sages every day, as the saying goes, no one is without a sage, and everyone has their own selfish motives. There is no exception to this. Sun Zi of the Confucian school once said that human nature is evil. You, staring deeply at Dustless, Yanlu asked, Did Dong Huangtai ask you to kill me? At that time, he could have killed me directly on the mirage. There was no need to go through so much trouble like now, making a trap and deliberately waiting for me to take the bait. Yanlu didn't think that he could escape from the mirage, which was full of experts. Stupid guy, haven't you realized it yet? How sad. Concubine Yan looked at Yanlu disdainfully and sneered. The Confucian school really likes to be self-righteous. Isn't it Dong Huangtai in front of you? When mentioning Dong Huangtai, Concubine Yan deliberately emphasized the word. What? Are you Dong Huangtai? Hearing that, Yanlu shuddered, and a panicked expression appeared on his face. He did not expect the Dustless in front of him to be the Dong Huangtai that the 100 schools of thought feared. I've already kicked him out of the school of Yinyang. The Dong Huangtai you were talking to was me. Dustless explained as if nothing had happened. Since Yanlu was a dying man, there was no harm in telling him everything. You. Yanlu's heart was filled with despair. In a trance, he had already understood Dustless's plan. After killing me, you will probably kill senior brother Fu Nian, and become the new head of the Confucian school. You are really a vicious villain. Vicious? Dustless mulled over this word. He lowered his head and squatted down, looking into Yanlu's eyes. Don't you think it's funny? Even if I don't interfere, the Confucian school will still die. In the future, Qin Shi Huangyingzhang's burning of books and burying of Confucianism was caused by Zhang Liang. Most of the disciples of the Little Sage Manor were buried alive by Zhang. Zhang Liang has boarded the pirate ship of the Anti-Qin Alliance. He has already implicated the Confucian school. Only by handing the Confucian school to me can you prevent such a monstrous disaster from happening. I am the head of the school of Yinyang. I can protect the Confucian school, so the Confucian school can continue to exist safely. Do you still think I'm vicious? Hurry up and call me a great philanthropist. Dustless did not understand where Yenlu's ignorant prejudice came from. In what way was he inferior to Zhang Liang? Identity, status, or strength? He had an overwhelming advantage in all of them. Are you saying that Zifang is related to the rebellion? Yenlu gritted his teeth, and the veins on his fists bulged. When Zhang Liang was related to the rebels, the Confucian school was already finished. The Qin state's laws were harsh, and there was the crime of being implicated, which meant that the Little Sage Manor could not stay out of it. Once it was exposed, it would definitely suffer a fierce attack from the Qin state. Impossible. Zifang would never collude with the rebels. He still has a bottom line. Yenlu shook his head stubbornly, looking like a one-track mind. Ha 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 ha. How sad. Are you still lying to yourself? Zhang Liang joined the Confucian school just to use the power of the Confucian school to recover Korea. Your Confucian school, the school of Mo, and Wei Zhuang's quicksand are actually props for that kid to restore his country. Hearing this, Dustless could not help but laugh out loud. He mocked. It's even more ridiculous to say that Zhang Liang would never collude with the rebels. You're still lying through your teeth. Am I not the biggest rebel in the world? And the person who led me to the Confucian school is Zhang Liang. You still dare to say that he would not collude with the rebels? That's nonsense. Dustless's bounty was the highest in the world. No one could challenge him. Zhang is tyrannical. Zifang was not wrong to rebel against him. Even if he did something inappropriate, it was human nature. I still believe in him. His vitality was completely exhausted. Yenlu finally fell to the ground. There was no breath left. There was a relieved smile on his face. It was not difficult to see that he believed in Zhang Liang's choice until his death. It's not wrong to be anti-Qin, but it's not important to me. In this world, whether the future master's surname is Ying or Zhang, it has nothing to do with me. But Zhang Liang, that kid, was wrong to go against me. He deserved to die. Glancing at Yenlu's corpse, Dustless's eyes spun faster. Tenzhou. The dark fire engulfed every part of Yenlu's body and evaporated him in an instant. He disappeared without a trace, not even leaving a corpse behind. Concubine Yen, you can go back. Leave the rest to me. After staying for a while, Dustless turned around and left with Concubine Yen. His shining eyes were full of determination. Since the plan had been implemented, Dustless would not hesitate to retreat. Once he stepped out, even if there was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood in front of him, there was no turning back. Chapter 1923. Be careful. Fun Yan is not a kind person. He is powerful and good at scheming. Also, the Confucians are not easy to deal with. Don't forget that in addition to Fun Yan, the Confucians also have a mysterious Sun Zi. Concubine Yan nodded and cautiously told Dustless to be careful. The reason why she was able to meet Yuer was all because of Wu Chen. Otherwise, if she was still the Eastern Emperor Tai of the past, she would probably still be locked up in an ice-cold prison. Don't worry. Dustless gave her a reassuring look. The corners of his mouth raised slightly, and he smiled very calmly. In Mulberry Sea City, black smoke covered the sun, and the pungent smell made people uncomfortable. Look, the Sage Manor is on fire again. This is bad. The Sage Manor is the holy land of scholars in the world. The fire must have caused heavy losses. There are many insights left by the Confucian sages in it. That's right. Poor thing. I remember that many years ago the Sage Manor was on fire. What's the situation this time? Was it man-made, or was it an accident? Who knows? The Confucians are really unlucky. Looking at the distant black smoke rising into the sky, the common people of Mulberry Sea City began to whisper to each other. All of them had blank looks on their faces. The Confucian school was just too unlucky. In the past, there had been a sudden fire that had caused heavy losses. This time, the momentum of the fire seemed even fiercer than before. The entire sky had been burned bright red, and even hundreds of meters away, they could feel the blazing heat. Fire? What's going on? Dustless, who had just returned to Mulberry Sea City, also looked up in surprise at the Sage Manor in the distance, where the smoke was rising from all directions. Immediately he quickly sped away. Before he left, he still remembered that the Sage Manor was safe and sound. Why did the Sage Manor inexplicably catch fire in less than 2 hours? Which bastard is so bold to set fire to the Sage Manor? Dustless rushed back to the Sage Manor. At the same time, his brain cells were working frantically, thinking about who dared to set fire to the Sage Manor. Why are you so sure that it was done by someone else? The fundamental reason was that the Little Saint Manor had a big fire in the past. The fire prevention equipment was very comprehensive. Usually they paid great attention to setting fires. The bamboo slips for books were also specially treated. It was very difficult for them to catch fire. Moreover, even if they did catch fire, it was absolutely controllable. However, the current fire was too shocking. It was definitely caused by human factors. Damn it, this is bad. Inside the Sage Manor, the Confucian disciples were all in a flurry. They carried buckets of water and ran to put out the fire. However, the fire this time was extremely terrifying. It was unrealistic to put out the fire with manpower alone. The fire was getting bigger and bigger. Fu Nian was sweating profusely as he directed the scholarly disciples to extinguish the fire. Looking at the monstrous flames, even though he was sweating profusely, his heart was cold. Which bastard did this? If I catch him. A cold light condensed in Fu Nian's eyes. The origin of this flame was too strange. In just 10 minutes, it had spread to the Sage Manor. It was definitely man-made. Grandmaster, we've found the source of the fire. The scholarly disciples were covered in dust, their faces covered in soot, looking extremely comical. Very good. Hearing this, Fu Nian's spirit was refreshed. He couldn't wait to ask, where was the fire first? Quickly take me to see. It's Grandmaster Sun's place. The scholarly disciples looked at each other and gave an answer that Fu Nian didn't expect. Damn it! Fu Nian was furious. His heart suddenly quivered. A deep sense of unease spread out and spread throughout Fu Nian's heart. He hurriedly ran to Sun Zi's residence. Sun Zi's temperament was quiet. He lived alone in the bamboo forest. Usually no one would disturb him. He lived in seclusion. It was indeed a good choice to set a fire at his place. There was also one thing that was certain. Sun Zi wouldn't set fire to the Sage Manor. There was no doubt about this. After all, he was a scholarly disciple. Therefore, there were only 2 possibilities. Either Sun Zi suddenly went out and was seized by the villains to set the fire, or Sun Zi was killed. Even if someone set the fire, they couldn't stop it. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After passing through the bamboo forest, Fu Nian finally arrived at Sun Zi's residence. It was a mess as he imagined. It was all burned to ashes. The bamboo forest, which was usually beautiful, had become a dangerous place. Someone's here? Fu Nian looked over and suddenly saw 2 figures. Zifang and Zichen? Fu Nian frowned. These 2 figures were Dustless and Zhang Liang. He asked anxiously, "Where's Grandmaster Sun? Is he okay?" "He's already dead." Zhang Liang sighed and pointed to the 2 charred corpses in the distance. "There are knife wounds on their bodies. I'm afraid someone deliberately set the fire after they were killed. Moreover, from the looks of the fire, half of the Sage Manor was burned in less than an hour. There's an 80% chance that they were prepared." "I know this." Fu Nian nodded solemnly. The fire this time was obviously man-made. Moreover, Sun Zi was killed before the fire was set. Although Sun Zi was old, his strength was very good. Moreover, his inner strength was profound. To be able to kill him silently, the person who plotted against the Sage Manor must be unfathomable. "Damn bastard. How dare you snatch my things? I really admire your courage." Dustless had a conflicted expression. He searched for a long time but couldn't find the Yellowstone Heavenly Book that he had temporarily given to Sun Zi. It was most likely burned. However, nothing was absolute. Dustless felt that the Yellowstone Heavenly Book must have been snatched away. Who would watch such a good treasure be burned? It didn't make sense. Moreover, Wu Chen had also guessed who the mastermind behind the arson this time was. The two of them should have guessed who it is. He glanced at Zhang Liang and Fu Nian. Their eyes were flickering. They should have guessed who the mastermind was, but they were helpless because they didn't have any evidence to blame. Chapter 1924. Only the six-sword slaves can do this. They are also hostile to the Confucian school. Little sage Zhuang Huahua and Li Si were inextricably linked. After a while, Zhang Liang said with bright eyes, "I can't think of any other candidates besides them." Well, your analysis makes sense. Although Li Si is Martial Uncle Sun's student, they have no feelings for each other. Li Si even hates Martial Uncle Sun. Maybe it's because of what happened last time. Sigh. Fu Nian's face was bleak, and then he nodded thoughtfully. It seemed that he also thought so. Zhang Liang is indeed very smart. Dustless's thoughts were not far from Zhang Liang's. Looking at the known masters in this world, there seemed to be no other suitable candidates except the six-sword slaves. The six of them cooperated closely, and could be said to be flawless. It was not a coincidence that Sun Zi died under their swords. Moreover, Li Si also disliked killing people to silence them. Due to the death of Han Fizi, Sun Zi and Li Si parted ways. Especially when they met at the Little Sage Manor last time, Sun Zi made Li Si lose face. Li Si was even more determined to take revenge on the Confucian school. It was normal for him to set fire to the Little Sage Manor. Moreover, he had a criminal record. When the Little Sage Manor was on fire, Li Si's whereabouts were strange. He had an unknown premeditation. Sigh. With a lonely sigh, Fu Nian's eyes were particularly helpless. He smiled helplessly and said, "Even if we know that Li Si instigated it, can we take revenge on him? The people don't fight with the palace. Besides, the Little Sage Manor doesn't even have evidence. It will only be regarded as framing." Although he was unwilling, Fu Nian had to bow his head. Framing the prime minister was not a small crime. But even so, we can't bear it. We have to resist. Otherwise, Li Si will be even more presumptuous. Zhang Liang glanced at Fu Nian and felt that his opportunity had come. He tentatively suggested, "Why don't we immediately cancel the engagement with the Yinyang school as a means to take revenge on Li Si and Zhao Gao? They are allies of the Qin kingdom anyway." "Wait." Dustless, who couldn't stand it anymore, interrupted. He stared at Zhang Liang and asked, "It's okay for me to cancel the engagement with young judge, but what does this have to do with taking revenge on Li Si?" "That's right. These are two completely different things." Fu Nian also asked with a frown. Not only did he have no intention of declining this marriage, but his eyes lit up as he said, "I think we can use the power of the Yinyang school to fight against Li Si and take revenge." Just pretend I didn't say anything." Zhang Liang stared blankly. He suddenly realized that he had lifted a rock and smashed his own foot in the end. Originally, he hoped that Fu Nian would hate the state of Qin because of this, but unexpectedly he valued the Yinyang school more and borrowed their strength to deal with Zhao Gao and Li Si. Perhaps this is what it means when things reach an extreme. They will move in the opposite direction. Zhang Liang's heart was filled with emotions. He looked at the silent Dustless with hidden bitterness. Every time this guy appeared, he would be possessed by the god of misfortune. Even drinking water would get stuck in the gaps between his teeth. Who told you to be so full of yourself, always thinking that you can change everything? You're just asking for humiliation. Serves you right, you idiot. It was said that the eyes were the windows to the soul. Dustless saw Zhang Liang's depressed heart through his eyes. "Let's put out the fire for the time being. We'll talk about the future later." Fu Nian looked at the corpses of Sun Zi and his errand boy, and his eyes flashed with hatred. "Damn Zhao Gao and Li Si. I didn't find trouble with you, but you two reckless things still dared to come out and court death. I really don't know where you get your confidence from. Do you think my things are so easy to take?" Dustless left expressionlessly and sneered in his heart. Anyway, I'm already the leader of the Inyang school. I'll just leave this kind of thing to them. As for Dustless, he secretly glanced at Fu Nian from the corner of his eyes. He was thinking about how to kill him and then frame Zhongliang, and finally kick Zhongliang out of the Confucian school. It was definitely more interesting to make this guy a stray dog than to kill him. Every time he looked at Zhang Liang's wise eyes that seemed to control everything, Dustless felt a wave of disgust. That's right. His eyes suddenly lit up. Dustless came up with a plan. He quickly moved to Fu Nian's side and suddenly said, "The Inyang school wants me and young Master Ximing to get married soon. As for the location, it's at the Mirage." Mirage? Fu Nian was slightly dissatisfied. If possible, he really didn't want to go to such a place. But then he glanced at the sage manor behind him. It had been burned into a desolate place, and was obviously not suitable for marriage. In this way, the Mirage would inevitably be the first choice, so Fu Nian could only follow Dustless's wishes. Let's do it at the Mirage. This time we have to make the scene bigger. The Confucian school must not lose face. Fu Nian's face was as sharp as a knife, and his face was serious. Borrowing the strength of the Inyang school to take revenge on Zhao Gao and Li Si is a good plan. I'll go too. Zhang Liang's eyes shot out a bright light, and he immediately took the lead to speak. However, Zhang Liang wanted to cry but had no tears. He had hoped that this incident would tear up the marriage contract between the two sides in one fell swoop. Who would have thought that the situation would turn around in the end? Such an unexpected result made Zhang Liang feel bitter and hateful. I was afraid that you wouldn't go. Otherwise, how could I trap you, kid? Dustless glanced at Zhang Liang with a slight sneer. He was really afraid that he would choose to turn a deaf ear. If Zhang Liang was willing to dig a hole himself, wouldn't that be the best ending? It would save Dustless the trouble of scheming against him. When is the specific time? Staring at Dustless, Fu Nian's eyes finally regained some light, as if he saw the hope of taking revenge on Li Si. 5 days later. Dustless raised 5 fingers and said slowly, Chapter 1925. Time flew by, and in a flash, it was the wedding day 5 days later. Time came and went in a hurry. On the Mirage, looking at the scenery of Mulberry Sea City in the distance, Dustless's young face had a look of age and vicissitudes that didn't match his age. Time really flies. Looking at the dazzling morning sun, Dustless sighed in a low voice. He stretched lazily and calmly moved his muscles and bones. He had just gotten up from his sleep, and was a little dispirited. Just at this moment, soft and boneless arms hugged him from behind. What's the matter? Turning his head, Dustless saw a slender purple hair fluttering in the wind, and into his eyes with a faint fragrance. Although her cheeks were covered by a veil, he could still clearly see her stunning appearance. I can only look for you if there's something? Xiao Ximing blinked her deep eyes and said with a little dissatisfaction, It's all your fault. In my life, there's only one solemn wedding, but you used it to scheme against others. Sorry, how do you want me to compensate you? Turning his head and looking at Xiao Ximing with a gentle gaze, Dustless pinched her white jade-like face, and then gently pecked Xiao Ximing's cheek. So fragrant. Dustless's face was full of enjoyment as he held Xiao Ximing's willowy waist. After a few days of peaceful life, he felt quite comfortable. You're not allowed to leave the Mirage for 3 days. Xiao Ximing's lively eyes rolled a few times. Her usual cold tone was now a little coquettish. She had never been like this before. Dustless had always been elusive and difficult to find. Unless he took the initiative to look for you, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to find this guy. Of course, no problem. Hearing this, Dustless straightforwardly agreed and said flatly, after killing Fu Nian and framing Zhang Liang, the only one left in the Confucian school is me. Young Master Ming nodded gently. Dustless's words implied that from now on, the Confucian school would have no leader. When the time came, they would be like fish on the chopping board. They could do whatever they wanted to them or even disband. Fu Nian was dead. Yanlu was also dead, Zhang Liang had been expelled, and Sun Zi had also been assassinated by Zhao Gao's 6-sword slave. As a result, The Confucian school was left with Dustless as its third master. The position of sect leader was undoubtedly his, and he held great power in his hands. Is everyone here? As far as the eye could see, there was a group of people docked at the harbor closest to the Mirage. Almost all of the important disciples of the Confucian school had come. Fu Nian and Zhang Liang were both present, and it was worth mentioning that even Tianming and Xiaoyu, these two brats, were present. Other than that, there was also Li Si, Zhao Gao, Xiaoming, and even Fu Su. Of course, there was also Zhang Han, whom he had met a few days ago. The school of Yinyang really has a lot of face. They have invited so many important and prominent people at once. Dustless was quite surprised at the influence of the school of Yinyang. In the end, it was just a sect, but even an heir of the empire like Fu Su had come without any trouble. It was truly impressive. Young Master Ming was speechless. She said coquettishly, "You are the new sect leader of the school of Yinyang, and you don't even know the power of your own sect? I think you are the fake one." Ahem. Dustless coughed awkwardly and immediately changed the topic. He said, "Let Moon Goddess go and receive them. Also, tell concubine Yen and Great Master Ming that since Zhao Gao and Li Si are here, their residence must be lax. Sneak in now and find my Yellowstone Heavenly Book and steal it." The Mirage was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. The red lanterns that symbolized joy stretched as far as the eye could see. "Where is Dong Huangtai? Your school of Yinyang is so impressive. Young Master is here, and he did not come to receive you personally." As soon as he stepped onto the Mirage, Li Si used this as a pretext to make a fuss. He stared at Moon Goddess and scolded unhappily. Does the school of Yinyang think that young master's identity is not enough for Dong Huangtai to receive you personally? Ever since the marriage between the school of Yinyang and the school of Confucianism, Li Si and Zhao Gao had categorized these two sects as enemies. Lord Minister. Seeing Li Si's sudden attack, Moon Goddess was calm and composed. She replied calmly, "The hierarch is in seclusion and is not on the Mirage. Lord Minister, why do you care about this? Furthermore, young Master Fu Su did not care. Lord Minister, since you are so impatient, do you have other plans?" "You don't talk nonsense." Li Si's expression changed slightly. He sneaked a glance at Fu Su. Seeing that his expression was normal, he could only swallow his anger. Fu Su did not say anything. What else could he say? It was inevitable that people would gossip about him. "If you want to talk, please continue. Forgive me for not keeping you company." Xiaoming of the Sky sect walked away gracefully. She walked straight to the Mirage. Her snow-white legs could be seen from time to time. They were evenly distributed and perfect. Not bad. On a tall building, Dustless looked down at Xiaoming and nodded approvingly. Ouch! At the same time, Dustless suddenly felt his waist being attacked. He grimaced in pain. He turned around and saw young Master Ming pouting her seductive lips and looking at him with dissatisfaction. What's so good about that woman? She doesn't care about anything around her. She is too arrogant. Young Master Ming exposed Xiaoming's shortcomings. "I didn't say she was good-looking." Dustless answered hesitantly. It seemed that she was imagining things. It was every woman's nature to be jealous. Who would believe you? Slightly wrinkling her nose, Xiao Ximing teased Ji Hao, which was rare for her, as if she was joking. "If that was a thick black hairy leg, would you still be mesmerized by it?" Wu Chen was rendered speechless by young Master Ming's question. Although Xiao Ming's slender legs were very attractive, Wu Chen was still a womanizer. He wouldn't be so infatuated with a woman. Especially when he was just looking at her legs, it would be a complete joke. The reason why he paid attention to Xiao Ming was because of other details. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.